touched a crazy nerve. And the nerve, which I found interesting, according to the US people, was, you know, when Toyota Lexus, right? When Lexus came out, like their service was incredible.
Right.
When you walked into the dealership, it is.
Still is.
And there was a separation of church and state, like immediately. Right now.
Because you said you can't take the Hyundai out of the Genesis or something like that?
Something like that, like saying like, hey, this is where I think there needs some work, right? Because you still walk in and you don't feel like the Lexus thing. Having said that, the car is ridiculous.
Yeah, they make a great car.
No one's arguing
they make
that.
a great car.
It's just the combination of the two.
Hyundai couldn't sell their full size, the Equus. Remember the Equus?
Yeah.
$80,000 car.
Right.
Nobody wanted to go to a Hyundai dealer to buy that. Volkswagen Phaeton.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Off the Record. We love Off the Record. You know we love Off the Record, and you've heard us talk about Off the Record. In fact, I've got a case pending with Off the Record right now. It's my first one in a little while. I've been a very good boy, but allegedly I've been a very bad boy. But Off the Record is going to help. That's what they do. If you get a ticket, a moving violation of any kind, anywhere in the United States, you need Off the Record. Don't plead guilty. Don't assume it's going to go away. Don't call your friend who's a lawyer and maybe can help you. Wherever you are in the country, even if you get that ticket far from home, Off the Record can help. It is so easy. All you have to do is go to offtherecord.com/TST or download the Off the Record app and use code TST10. That's it. Those two things. You get 10% off all your legal services with Off the Record. And they have an unbelievable success rate. 97% chance of getting those points off of your record. They are so clutch. And it's not just the ticket, right? Your insurance can be impacted, potentially even your livelihood. If you drive for a living and you can't have points on your license, you could risk your job. Off the Record is so clutch in those types of situations. And they've come through with me before. They've come through for some of you fans before. I get a lot of emails and letters about Off the Record, saving your backside. So go to offtherecord.com/TST. Use code TST10 on the Off the Record app. 10% off all legal services with Off the Record. You know them and you love them, and we do too. All right, on this episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast, I'm at the AMMO studio in Danbury, Connecticut with my old friend, Larry Kosilla. Larry is literally one of my best friends. We went to middle school and high school together, and he's now one of the best car detailers in the world. His YouTube channel, AMMO NYC, has some amazing detailing videos, both before and afters and how-tos, all kinds of stuff. He's got his AMMO product line, tons of stuff going on. So we do talk some detailing in this video. We also talk about Genesis. Strangely enough, we talk about Genesis. We have a sort of a BTS conversation about the state of YouTube and social media and how we're both getting the crap kicked out of us right now by the algorithms. We talk about the joys of driving a Model T and why Larry wants to buy a Model T. And we talk about how his Audi R8 V8 manual is sort of fallen in between exotic and classic collectible. Interesting, wide-ranging discussion with my old pal Larry Kosilla of AMMO on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
There we are. The AMMO NYC
We are
studio.
here.
Oh boy, how does this not drive you nuts?
It does drive me crazy.
chair-
No, it's even worse. Listen to this.
Oh my God! For you, this how do you
The one
have
upstairs in my office does it even worse.
Oh my God!
And I go in and I'm on Zoom calls and I'm tightening it down. Like, what do you do? I'm like, shh, 1 second. I got to
can't believe you'd allow this chair to rock like
right
this.
now. Well, the interesting thing is
it the floor or
the
the
floor
chair?
is pitched directly underneath you, so now you're on the edge.
Well, last time I was here a year ago, we were talking about your floor because you were going to be like ripping up, the floor to do a new floor. It was going to be a whole thing. And
We ended
now-
up not doing it. We just kept it the way that it is. But the problem is when I wash, we'll talk about this in a second, but when I wash a car here, the water goes out that door. So there's like a huge puddle back there and I'm constantly squeegeeing. So I have like the world's greatest studio, but the floor.
Nothing is ever perfect.
No, well.
At our new shop in South Bay, I think I figured it out. Because like imagine you did this and you got to do another one from scratch.
Yeah, I would change so many things.
And so we got to do that in South Bay. And so I'm like, listen, Here is how the slope of the floor. It's got to be 1 inch from here to here.
Yeah.
The drain has to be this design. The light has to be this. And so
if you're there long term, it means something. Because if you put a cart right here, the cart, there's a slope here. The cart will go directly into the cart. But if you go right here, it doesn't go anywhere.
So that was the challenge because I needed the water to drain, but I couldn't have the cart or the stools rolling into the car. So I put a little ridge on the edge. Yeah, a little ridge.
Ridge on the edge of what?
Where it goes from flat to slope. So if the cart was rolled, we don't move the cart onto the slope, but it's just a little last ditch ridge effort.
Well, thanks for telling me now.
I just did this. This is like 2 months ago. I didn't do it. You were already done.
What did you make the ridge with?
Concrete.
Really?
Yeah, because they poured a new floor, so I made a ridge.
That's awesome. Now I'm like, man.
Yeah, and then
I dig it up again.
And then the sloped part is brushed, so it's rough, so you don't slide.
Yeah, you can feel.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah,
because remember at my other shop, my floor, dude, you could fucking hockey skate across, and I was like, oh, this is really dangerous.
I'm sure your insurance guy's like,
this was a bad idea.
Just shaving some money off of that.
Yeah. But nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I see you have the martini themed Porsche Cup.
I probably have 50 of these. You know why? I go to every once in a while. I get, I'm sure like you would get invited to the Porsche. What is it? Experience? Porsche Experience.
Yeah.
And like half the time we can't make it or whatever. But I go and they give you. So I kind of go just for the cups. I have like a bunch of these. And
they're nice. I got the frozen berry one to match the car.
Really?
Yeah, it's nice. Matchy all the way
to
up.
Have some cups. And then they gave me this too. This one over here.
Yeah, no, the swag flows.
They do it nice at Porsche.
Like the salmon of Capistrano. Porsche and Mini.
Mini?
Yeah, Mini knows their swag.
Really?
Remember when I bought the Mini? The John Cooper Works Mini?
I remember in the back seat, Tad was in the front seat.
Yeah.
You were all out when we first got it.
Yeah.
And you remember on the way to Valhalla.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. We were moving, and then there was a cop in like the bushes, and then you got nailed on the first day.
It was the day I bought the car, and I got a ticket for doing 96 and a 50.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you sell a Hummer for a Mini. The world moves in like Star Wars speed.
I don't know why, but I remember that so vividly, being in the backseat, being like, "Oh, dude, there's a cop here. You're screwed."
Allegedly, I was mobbing.
And Tad's
So
like
the
holding
statute
on.
of limitations, I was definitely mobbing.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just talking about that because I've been regularly talking about like the ridiculousness of these giant cars that we have now, whether it's the electric Hummer or the TRX or whatever.
They don't have that in Europe, right? It's like everything's tiny.
Well, the roads are smaller, gas is more expensive, and we have this law that if you're a small business owner being a very, very flexible term, that you can depreciate a vehicle that's over 6,000 pounds gross vehicle weight like much faster than you can depreciate a regular car. It's a tax benefit. And so the rest of us are subsidizing people who are scamming this system and taking a tax incentive that, again, the rest of us are paying for in order to drive a massively oversized and overweight
like an F, like 350, like that's over 6,000 pounds.
Oh, for sure. An F-150 is, but also a G-Wagon is, and a Range Rover is.
And half the people who can afford that probably have a business of their own. They slide
or they
make
make an LLC. Like, it's not, you don't need to like prove anything beyond the existence of a business.
Wow.
And so I've been talking about the ridiculousness, and I'm not saying that they need to ban these types of vehicles, and I'm not saying that we need to tell people what they can and cannot drive. What I'm saying is the rest of us are subsidizing it.
Right.
And if we're going to subsidize something, I'm going to subsidize your Prius. I want to subsidize you driving
like an EV style.
An EV, something efficient, something lightweight, something small. I want to incentivize a business owner to buy the most efficient vehicle, least impactful vehicle that they can. So that's why are we talking about that? Why did we start? Oh, because I was talking about my own experience when I traded the Hummer for the Mini, and my life instantly got better.
Yeah.
And then again, when I had the Raptor, which I thought I needed but didn't, and I traded that for a Volt and a used minivan, and my life instantly got better there too. It was like, it turns out that this giant fucking thing was actually making my life less convenient in service of an image. That wasn't even me.
This is true. Yeah, I remember all that stuff. Well, you can just go to this if you want to really go back.
Yeah, so we got a Model T here.
I think it's a 1927. It might be a 26, but we think it's 29.
26 may have been the last year.
Well, because they were talking about the headlights. I had like a guy come in. He's like, "We're not sure." We got so I'm trying to check it all out, but we just got it.
It's lovely. It's a sedan convertible. I don't know the exact terminology.
Yeah.
What is the terminology for?
I don't. We literally just got. I went out with a buddy of mine, and it was
out of a field or something.
No, it was in a tent, and this gentleman passed away, and he was like the ultimate like tinkerer. So he had like dragsters with 800 horsepower back in the day. It was called Pigpen. You know, I mean, crazy stuff.
It's a great name for a dragster.
It's great. And it looked like
that. Is
that
his nickname or the car's?
No, that's the car's nickname. But like you go in and there's pinups everywhere of like women from the 50s and like that whole thing. And he had tons of snowmobiles. But anyways, that was sitting there, and they called me up like, we don't know what to do with this thing. And I was like, bring it here. Let me like check this out, see if I can get this thing running, get it cleaned up. But now it's for sale, and I have, you know, like everything else, I try to sell it for them, and I'm like, I think I need to buy this thing. It's just American history. How can you let this like?
Well, these are really, you know, there is really something to these. They're fun in their own way. They make every drive kind of an adventure. You have to truly focus to drive it. You can't check your fucking phone.
And it's weird because like a lot of the levers are under your leg here, and you're like, what?
The ergonomics are horrible.
Right, and all the pedals are like race cars. And so if you push one, you've hit 3.
Right.
It's like so.
So here's, you know, I actually have a decent amount of experience with Model Ts, courtesy of my homie John Bothwell, who is like Mr. Model T.
Oh, really?
Out in California.
Okay.
Yeah, this guy, he is the American representative for Persang. They do the exact recreations of the pre-war sports cars, so the Bugatti Type 35s and the Alfa Monzas and stuff, and so they're like $500,000, but when the real one is $10 million, you know,
whatever.
It looks like it's totally legit. It looks exactly the same. It just has a 12-volt battery, and you can actually drive it. But he personally has a collection of like 8 Model Ts. They're all different. I've driven a bunch of them.
You're meaning to put me in touch with him.
Yeah, he's the guy, 100%. He drives these things up mountains and across country and shit.
It felt great.
Yeah.
We actually got it started, and the way it was, the fuel line was plugged.
Right, sure.
So my guy went underneath there,
100 years.
literally plugged, like pushed it with his finger, and then it's all on video. It went blah, hit the ground, and it still stinks in here. But we put some gas in it, put a new battery in,
and it runs.
Literally push a button and start right up.
Isn't that crazy? Like a Model
insane.
T will just like, it can sit for 30 years and then you change the battery and it'll start. But they don't make sense when you have to drive them with cars, right? But I drove one in the desert, and when you drive it in the desert down a fire road, it makes so much sense because you get it going, and then you don't have to touch the pedals anymore.
No.
Now your feet are just chilling,
right.
And the throttle being on the steering wheel,
–
it's basically like a cruise control. So you just kind of set it, and then you just steer.
That's what most people don't realize. They're like, oh, where's the gas pedal? I'm like, no, none of them.
Yeah.
It's right here.
And then it's got these skinny tires. It's got so much ground clearance that it's like a billy goat, and on rutted out roads or rocks or what, like this thing is nasty off-road.
Yeah, I don't know if I can let it go. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I have to I need it part of my, these aren't very expensive compared to, some crazy supercar or whatever. To have this as part of your...
No, it's a fun little thing.
It's like part of history. I like reading about it and like seeing all the way that they wired it. I mean, there's like 4 parts of this car.
Yeah.
It's like the top, the bottom, and the engine.
You can work on them yourselves, and people do.
We did.
And and there's you can get a lot of parts for these that make them a little more safe and capable without making them like terrible. Like
is there like a seatbelt option? Because I want to put my kid in the whole thing. There's no like something that like they can't flop out of it.
No,
but again, like, it's 20 miles an hour.
People look out for you. You know what I mean? Right. No one's crashing into you.
The horn is the greatest thing ever.
That's right. But you can put drum brakes on it. You can put a different transfer case for different gears. You can do. You can put a different head on it that will not need as much adjusting, and just stuff that makes it's the same but like easier to live with.
Right. I think the brakes would be the first one, because when I drove it with this other expert guy, Ted, that's in all my videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, are the brakes shot? And he's like, nope. That's just the brakes.
No, that's just what they are, and they're horrible.
But at 25 miles an hour, he's like, what do you...
No, the brakes are a band that cinches the transmission.
It's crazy.
And they're not good. You want, it's called Rocky Mountain. You get the Rocky Mountain brakes.
Rocky Mountain. I'll text you later, obviously.
That's what,
we'll figure that out.
John
but if I
can
do
set
get
it
this,
up. John, you come to LA next time you come out, and we'll go and drive his.
Yeah.
And he's got like one like this. He's got the race car one that I did 70 miles an hour in. He's got the Super T, which is like the Raptor of T's. It's like the super off-road one that's like amazing.
Yeah, don't they turn these into like resto mod, like crazy, like
well, you
whatever?
no. This guy's all period. So everything is period.
Yeah.
So it's like you take the best, because the aftermarket, you were supposed to like finish these things yourself.
You know, it was like a Sears catalog.
Yeah.
You ordered parts.
So you could buy
like,
all kinds of stuff. So he has one. It's like, I drove for Road and Track a couple of years ago, or last year, the handmade issue, where I drove both extremes, which was one that was a race car, and then one that was like super off-roady, and they were both amazing.
I'm really, this really tickles me, or whatever the word is. Like, I think it's just really cool. So.
And there's a mod you can do for a gas pedal. If you want to get rid of the lever on the steering wheel and put a pedal, there's a gas pedal mod. You can do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of...
I mean, that sort of takes away the charm.
Right. Yeah, I think this is... I think it's going to be a good buy. We're going to see what happens to the guy, because it's like a family estate, like the guy died. And it was like out of the movies. This place there was a backhoe coming in and picking things up, throwing things away. People were coming in and like taking things, and I'm like, I walked in the middle of like a storm, because my buddy's like, no, you're cool. It's my brother-in-law, everything's good. And he's like, who are you? What are you doing here? And I was like, whoa, I'm here as like a favor. I thought I was gonna take it and clean it and sell it for you, or whatever. And then he's like, I'm like, how much do you want for this? And he gave me the price, and I was like, okay, cool, no worries. Flatbed showed up, I paid for it. Like, I'm the good guy. I was like, stop yelling at me. And then by the time I got back, and I was like, you know what? At that price, I'm gonna just pull this out, because I'm worried that there's gonna be a problem with the video. Oh, you can't. And I said, I'll buy it. And then of course, as soon as I said that, he's like, well, the price went up $1,000. I'm like,
oh, you actually want it? In that case, more.
Exactly. So it's been whatever. So right now it's still his, but I'll see if I can negotiate.
It's flat money, right? You know, you buy it for whatever, and in 20 years, it's still worth whatever.
I agree, and there's more than just a vehicle here, so I don't want to get too crazy. But
they're neat, and they offer you an entry, literally a ticket into certain types of events, right? Pre-war, whatever.
I'm dorky enough to think, I envision the person who bought this then, and I get really excited about it. So in 1926, 27, whatever, right? 1930. Yeah. The guy gets this car. He goes to the dealer or builds it himself, or whatever the thing is. Great, I don't care about the part. He gets in the car, he drives it down the road. I'm talking about the farmer, whoever was like, what the hell? I mean, it's a spaceship in 1927.
Yeah. Well, more so in 1912 when they first came out.
1908,
the Model Ts were pretty much everyone who bought one, it was their first car. I mean, literally their first car.
Right.
So that's why, like, oh, it's confusing to drive now. Well, like, they'd never driven anything.
And you know how they learned how to drive? In the war.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because they converted these to like war vehicles in World War I. So most of them had never driven a vehicle, I mean, all horses or whatever.
But they're not hard to drive when you have so few cars around that you have plenty of time to think about what you're doing.
Right.
There's no such thing as like a panic stop. You've got all this space and all this time, and it's 10 miles in one of these things is an hour and a half.
Right.
And so
I moved, so I live like closer here, and so I don't go on the highway anymore. So I'm like, I'm like, this could be like,
you could drive it to work.
It's all back roads. I'm a mile, like 1.2 miles away. Sideways. I'm like, this is going to be
so
like
if it dies, you could walk the rest of the way.
And you could push it. I mean, the thing is so light, it's ridiculous.
So that's a good time. Okay, cool.
Speaking of new cars, long story short, I got my wife a GV80. She really wanted a GV80.
You texted me about it.
Right. But the backstory is the biggest post in anything I've ever done, ever, with you, with all the crazy videos, 22 million views, like my biggest one, nothing compares to one Instagram post I did. Even Lieberman, I mean, you name everybody. I'm driving past the Genesis dealership. I'm just doing right here, I'm walking distance away. I'm driving the Taycan, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, is that really happening? I pull over the side of the road. I'm still in my car.
Oh, I think I saw this.
Right. I took a picture of it. Dude,
you saw the guy with the broom.
And I said something.
I remember this.
I said something like, the Genesis is awesome, but you can't take like Hyundai out of a Hyundai dealership, or something like, it's still a Hyundai dealership.
Yeah.
And
well, you hit the gold mine. That's a gold mine of internet, because first off, shitting on things is amazingly popular.
I was stating fact, by the way.
No, but you were showing negativity.
Yeah.
Like that is like our like statistician person,
right?
You know Kevin.
I know.
What's going to hit Kevin?
Right.
Negativity and money. These are the two things that hit.
Right.
And you see it on Instagram now too.
Yeah.
Here's the 10 things I hate about my new blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And how much is your rent? How much are you spending on this? How much is your thing? Blah, blah, blah.
I didn't think of it that way. I went into my Larry like cleaning things. So I hate contributing to that is what I'm saying. I feel horrible. It's horrible.
You know what? One of our biggest Instagram videos, Instagram cuts ever was something that was cut up from one of our podcasts that was then represented on Instagram as something that and I was embarrassed because it was like a negative to society.
Right.
And it opened up the invitation for people to like, never mind. It was. I'm in the same place.
Right.
I didn't intend.
I was like, hey, let's go in and because the rest of the story goes like this. I posted it up there. I didn't think about it. It was
literally a guy cleaning cars on the lot with a broom.
Right, and just like crushing these cars. So I sent the thing out there. I'm like, hey, I would love to shoot a video with Genesis to teach them how to do it properly.
Yeah.
Never thought anything about it, detailing the car.
Yeah.
Jordan upstairs calls me and he's like, dude, I don't know what is going on right now, but we're blowing up all over the place. So then my phone rings. I get a phone call from the random kid. I had nothing. Like I'm pro helping the kid. This kid. I had nothing to do with him. I was driving. It was like a blurry shot. The father of that kid calls me, and I'm like, hello. I'm like, what? And he's like, my son is like, you got to take him down. I was like, oh God, it wasn't like a thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, no, okay, no problem. I'm not trying to be difficult here. It was just whatever. 5 minutes after that, Genesis corporate calls me. And they're like, is this Larry Kosilla, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, where is this dealership? What is going on? I'm like, who is this? And they introduced themselves as the American presidents or whatever, like the people here in America.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, that post.
Because it's probably Genesis North America has a division.
Right.
Yeah,
and then I said, how did you find out about it? They said the Koreans are losing their minds right now on your post. And I was like, I thought this was like a joke, for real. Jordan came down and we were looking at each other like, what? And then we saw all the comments. I didn't look at it. It was like 10 minutes. It was like 55,000 comments.
No way.
Yeah, in like 10 or 15 minutes, whatever it was.
No way.
I mean, I thought it was a fake. So anyways, they called me and they said, you touched a crazy nerve. And the nerve, which I found interesting, according to the US people was, you know when the Toyota Lexus, right? When Lexus came out, like their service was incredible.
Right.
When you walked into the dealership, it is.
Still is.
And there was a separation of church and state, like immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Right now.
Because you said you can't take the Hyundai out of the Genesis or something like that?
Something like that, yeah, like saying hey, this is where I think there needs some work, right?
Yeah.
Because you still walk in and you don't feel like the Lexus thing. Having said that, the car is ridiculous.
Yeah, they make a great car.
No one's arguing
they make
that.
a great car.
It's just the combination of the two.
Hyundai couldn't sell their full size, the Equus. Remember the Equus?
Yeah.
$80,000 car.
Right.
Nobody wanted to go to a Hyundai dealer to buy that. Volkswagen Phaeton.
Folks, got to take a quick break from the action for just a second for NASCAR, who is a sponsor of today's episode. The competition on and off the track is heating up in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and with only one more race before the field is slashed in half one last time for the Championship 4, the playoffs head to Homestead-Miami Speedway in sunny South Florida. Nestled between the vibrancy of South Beach and the calm of the Keys, this track offers a one-of-a-kind racing experience. I've actually driven Homestead before, and it rules. It's win and you're in. So drivers will be using every inch of these action-packed mile-and-a-half oval to give themselves the best chance to secure a spot in the Championship 4. There's only a few more races in NASCAR's 75th anniversary season, so don't miss out. Get together with some good friends and tune in to the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs race at Homestead-Miami Speedway, Sunday, October 22nd, 2:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. And we are brought to you today by Prize Picks. What is Prize Picks? Well, it's the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can test your skills on Prize Picks this football season. It's the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, and if you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. It's really simple to play. You can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. And with the Prize Picks reboot policy, your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For NFL games and CFB top 25 matchups, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. Prize Picks is awesome. It's easy. They've got weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts selected player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. Go to prizepicks.com/tire and use code TIRE for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/tire and use code TIRE for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. And now back to the action on the Smoking Tire podcast.
Nobody wanted to buy an $80,000 Volkswagen.
Yeah.
You know, that's the Bentley GT. Right. You know what I mean? The Phaeton put twin turbos on that motor, and that's the Bentley GT.
Like Bentayga and the GV80. I mean, they're basically the same thing.
Yeah, remember when Tiger Woods rolled the Genesis down the hill? I made a big joke. I was like, upside down, that looks an awful lot like a Bentley. The best marketing for Genesis ever.
So, long story short, they freaked out. I took the post down. I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to be whatever. It was more tongue-in-cheek and more like, and I said, hey, I am happy to go in and show how to properly maintain the lot.
There's an opportunity here.
Yeah, I was like, let's have some fun, let's do this.
They were like,
no way, take it down. And I'm like, I called the lawyers. I called everyone. Like, what is that? Like, am I in trouble? They're like, no. You can keep it up. It's totally legal. You're on a public road. I blurred his face. It was totally ridiculous. But I was like, I'm not looking to be like what you talked about. I don't want to be like the negative. It wasn't meant to be a negative thing. It just, I kicked the beehive at the right spot, and it exploded everywhere. Now, fast forward. My wife says she wants a GV80. I'm like, now we're like, so I walk into the dealership like this, thinking these guys are gonna just
not the same dealer.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They're right there, dude. So I walk into the same dealer, and I'm like, got glasses and a hat on, like whatever. They didn't know anything. So that's another indication that they're just kind of whatever. So fast forward, we drove the car. The car's ridiculous. It's an amazing
it's a great car.
So we ended up trying to make a deal on this car. I ended up getting the car, but for probably 3 or 4 weeks, we're negotiating back and forth. Much like you, I have a dealer's license, so I can see Mannheim, I can see all the MMR reports, I can see all the things of what the value is of the car.
But you can't, in Connecticut, can you as a dealer buy a car from a franchise dealer? I can't do that.
No, I could just buy it wholesale through Mannheim or whatever auction. Used. Used one. I can't buy a new one.
Right. Yeah.
So
I can't do that.
I was looking at used ones and I was comparing the price. I was being crazy about it.
Yeah.
And so they had a used one on their lot, and it was all the specs that she wanted. Blah 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 blah. We drove it. She loved it. 3-4 weeks later, I'm negotiating with the guy. The guy's very nice, but like crazy salesman. Long story short, I'm like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And then eventually, like husbands and wives, you got a happy wife, happy life. So I ended up buying it. My question to you is, their doc fees and administrative fees, which sent me through the roof when you go to the F&I, when you sit down with the F&I, like, listen to me, I said, it was the most awkward. If we filmed this, it would have got 1 billion views. And Jordan was there and he crawled under the desk. It was so awkward. I was like, I'm in the business, please don't sell me anything. Let me sign the thing and get out of here, right? Because I wrote a check and there's no finance. I said, let's just be done.
Full price, one check.
I want to be done and clean and I want to be out of here in 5 minutes. I said, explain to me what your doc fee is and your administrative fees. It's like, well, we got to write stuff down and we got to do whatever. And I was like, so for pens and paper and for you to write this down, $1,300. And I was like, do you realize Porsche is about that and less because it's negotiable?
Yeah.
They're not negotiable on any of that stuff. So that was my big, the car is great.
Yeah.
I think, the people,
so
whatever.
the nickel and diming of the dealership experience, the hidden fees.
Yeah, and then they could tell I was so frustrated that I guarantee you, because you have to fill out a thing where they send you your report and it dictates how many cars they get from corporate and all that. I haven't gotten anything.
They're not even going to waste
lost in the mail.
Yeah, they're not going to waste their time. They don't want you to have a survey.
But for real, dealerships can't, corporate can't stop dealerships from doing that?
No. Dealerships have an unbelievable amount of leeway to do kind of what they want. And I've learned that over and over. And occasionally when there's tons of cars and less demand, and the dealership wants to make a sale, you know, it presents an opportunity for you to beat the dealer up on price. And when the flip side happens, it presents an opportunity for them to beat you up. But unless the dealer does something that's like illegal, and it varies state by state. I don't know what the Connecticut laws are.
You can see there's a piece of paper that I refused to sign in there, and it got really awkward, and it says you can negotiate this, and I was like, great, I want to pay 0 and you want me to pay full. Where do you want to go from here?
Yeah.
And so it became very awkward, and it was and I was like, you know what, for $1,300.
No, there's once they get the franchise, you know, once they're a franchise dealer, it's sort of like, well, there are a list of rules they can't break.
Right. Outside that, it's
outside of that, they could do whatever. Like I was just saying before we started recording, that dealer, and I talked about this on the show last year when my cousin tried to buy a Jeep, ordered it from Jeep of Manhattan in New York City, and there's only one dealer in New York City. Yeah. And she ordered it, and when it came in, they sold it to somebody else with ADM, and they were like, sorry.
It's because that guy probably paid more and wanted to pay
100%. This was like peak car hype. And I called corporate, and I understand, not everybody has access to do this, but because I was so personally offended by what happened, I made the call, and they were apologetic to me, they were apologetic to my cousin, but ultimately, there was nothing they could do to the franchise dealer hadn't done anything that violated their franchise agreement, and it wasn't illegal. So there was like nothing they could do. And corporate was like, I'm sorry, that's a shitty dealer. They have a reputation for treating people badly. We're gonna help your cousin get a Jeep from a different dealer in Long Island or whatever it was. And they did. And they helped her find they helped her find another allocation. She got the Jeep she wanted. And it was fine. Ultimately, I mean, after a bunch of
the point being,
they couldn't. There was no punishment. It was just sort of like, sorry, you know.
Because I took your contact, I went to PR, I went to all these people. I'm like, listen, this is a wonderful opportunity.
There's not much
for shoot a video. We made it right, blah blah. So I ultimately got the car back here, and I shot a little Instagram, which I haven't posted yet. You're gonna see straight line scratches going
from the
up
brush.
From the brushes. And I was like, this is exactly it. I'm fuming. It's not because of the $1,300. It's really not. I mean, that's the thing. It's the point. And then when I sat with the guy, if I had just hit record, this would have been nuts. But I didn't have the whatever to do it. And I said, listen to me.
It also may or may not be legal.
And I was like, listen to me. Like, we're both like dealers. We've been in the business. Like, what's the stock fee about? And he's like, listen to me. It's a money grab, dude. It's just how it works. You know, I mean, just be cool about it. I'm like, no, I'll be cool about the $1,300.
But that is, you know, and not that you wouldn't have this at a Lexus dealer, but one of the things that Lexus, that experience, I mean, think about, they got my mother for 20 years. For 20 years, my mother wouldn't dream, and you know my mother.
I do.
She wouldn't dream of buying something that wasn't a Lexus for 20 years. And why? Because of the dealers. That was it. It was that experience, the extended hours, the free loaner cars for service, the seamlessness of all of it.
Like you care. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. There was never an impression that she was getting hosed. Ever.
I've said that to you since we were like 7 years old. If we ever made like $1 billion, I'd love to open up a dealership where like every salesman, he gets $500. I'm making this number up, $1,000, whatever it is, to sell a car. It's like, we're making $1,000 on you. The rest is we want you to come in for service, and we're gonna be so great. I was like, if they could ever do that, you'd be the greatest dealer in the world. I'm sure everybody else would, you know, but I don't know if that can work, or this is like my pipe dream. But I mean, it's disgusting. It makes me sick. I love these things. This is literally what we do for a living. And to have that as the portal with which you have to get the goods ruins that whole experience from the beginning, trying to find the car. What are you going to be?
And you're talking about a used fucking crossover. I mean, you know, think about you got these guys and girls, I mean, who are, you know, trying to get allocations for these very high in demand cars. And if they don't have a purchase history, and if they don't have it becomes all this insidery shit where once you're in the club, you can flip it back to the dealer. And then it's
Ferraris like that.
It's not for Porsches too. I mean, they all are. It's not. There's no more car dealer that can't, you know, that is exempt from this anymore.
And you see the commercials, it makes me nuts. I'm like, calm down. You see the commercial, like, hey, I'm the real guy. And it's like, can you just be real? It's almost like, let's not go down this, but it's almost like politics, where you're like, can you just be real for like 2 seconds? Like, I don't even care how much you know about all that stuff. Just be like a human being.
It is the flip side of, for 20 years, we were used to going into dealers and beating them up.
Right.
$5,000 on the hood. Or you're buying it. I
thought the internet made it better for buyers because you could compare everybody.
The internet did, but then the supply chain shortage from COVID, and then what they learned during COVID was that they didn't have to stock as many cars. They didn't have to, and if they made it more annoying and more profitable and kept less inventory and people would still buy the cars. They still wanted to buy the cars and they would put up with it. We bitch here, but we put up with it. You bought the car. Yeah. And people bitch about, I get sent all the time. Oh my God, Matt, look at this, $100K over for a GT3. Guess what? That car sold. Maybe they didn't get 100 over, but they might have got 75. All you need is one guy,
right?
Or one person to pay that crazy ADM, and that was a good business decision from the dealer. Even if 100 people posted on the internet and go, "Look at these shitbags! Look what they're charging," but then one fucking person who doesn't give a shit comes in and goes, "Okay," and that's it. So
it's frustrating.
It's the other side of that economy.
Well, technically, I'm that guy. I paid the $1,300. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm arguing with the guy, uncomfortable. He's like, he goes, what do you want? Do you want it or not?
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? It's not my car.
You could have shopped other dealers.
I shopped.
All right.
Come on, you know me. I went everywhere. I was driving this guy nuts. We were texting each other. I'm like, dude, I'll come in right now, but you got to get that fee. Anyways, long story short.
So in your case, you did shop around. The supply is low, right? You couldn't get that exact car somewhere else for the same price.
No.
So the lesson for them was keep the inventory low, and the techniques that the internet enabled the customer to use to shop around will be much harder.
Right. So
and the more enthusiast oriented the car, the more niche the car, the less those techniques work. Oh, I want a gray Explorer. Okay, well, there's probably 300 of them for sale around the country.
Right.
You find one of them. Well, I want a blue Integra Type S with gold wheels.
Yeah, it's like
okay. There's 2 of those now.
She picked a unique color and unique interior.
Sure. So the more specific your choice, the more they get to hose you. It sucks, and it sucks that Genesis, as a brand, they may not be able to get the traction that Lexus got if they're not willing to make the experience very transparent.
That's the point I was making with that post. Like they need to get it together a la Lexus for them, because the car is great. I think it's in the same genre as Lexus. It's great. It's a great car.
And Lexus has left the opening because, with a couple exceptions, their cars are not very exciting right now.
Right.
I mean, you've got the LC, which is an unbelievable car, but it's a niche car. And then you've got the ES, which is the volume car and is a great car, but is not particularly exciting. And then in between, they've got the ugly faces and all kinds of...
It's a perfect example. I pushed Victoria, my wife, to go to Lexus. Yeah. I was like, hey, why don't we do she's not a car person. She just wants, to go back and forth to baseball or whatever. And then she's like, no, I think this one. I was like, listen, it's your car. So that's a perfect example of Lexus kind of just leaving the door open.
They have, and their market share has slipped accordingly. They were the kings for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Guys, we got to take one more quick break for a sponsor I am particularly passionate about, BetterHelp. They have advertised on our videos before, and now they are over here at the podcast, and this show's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I like BetterHelp a lot because they make talk therapy easier, right? Finding a new therapist can be really hard if you don't already have one, right? And sometimes your brain can get in its own way. You could be going through a tough time in life, or you could have, a proper clinical disorder like depression or anxiety, and therapy can help figure out what's holding you back so you can work for yourself instead of against yourself. And whether or not you've been in therapy before, I have been in therapy for like 20 years, And I think it's really worthwhile. I mean, it's helped me learn about myself. It's helped me come up with better strategies for living. It's helped give me ways to think about situations that I'm in professionally and personally from another perspective. And I can tell things to my therapist that I don't necessarily want to say to either my wife or my family or my friends. And I know this person will give me a balanced and experienced perspective. But it's really hard to find the new therapist, right? Especially in our sort of post-COVID world. I've tried to find therapists in person before, and it is a challenge. And you may live somewhere where, frankly, there aren't very many therapists, or there isn't a therapist that you can personally relate to. And so BetterHelp is a better way of doing it. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with one of thousands of licensed therapists that work with BetterHelp. And if you don't like who they've got you with, it's no problem, because you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. It's great. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Go to betterhelp.com/smokingtire today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smokingtire to get 10% off your first month with BetterHelp.
And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like, you know, in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was like everybody wanted a Lexus. Like they were the best. But so anyway.
Speaking of new cars, you put me in touch with Joey over at Emotion.
Sealy, Joey Sealy.
Yeah,
Emotion Engineering.
So he's the man. So
you said you wanted to do a Cayenne.
Yes.
Okay.
I've
so
been
what's going on with that?
searching. Again, because I got my dealer's license, it's like, I mean, it's the worst thing in the world, because I'm constantly like looking and comparing prices. But I found a 2014 Cayenne diesel.
Yeah.
24,000 miles.
Oh.
It's like,
that's nice.
it's a white whale of whatever.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting it.
What color?
It's arriving. It's in umber metallic, which is another way of saying like
umber metallic.
It's like goldish.
Oh,
I'll show you a picture.
Like JRG?
No, it's like
umber metallic.
Yeah, I can show you a picture of it on my phone. But
I want to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
You pull it up. Okay.
Yeah, I'll pull it up right here while we're talking about it. But anyways, it's coming in on Friday. And what I'm doing.
Where was it?
It was in Jersey, believe it or not.
Okay.
Now the guy bought two different diesels, a 2014 and a 2016. Now the difference is the bumpers, of course.
But Joey takes those off.
Well, Joey takes. That's what I'm saying. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And the real difference to me is that the steering wheel. You know the old model steering wheels.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm trying to find this.
But you could change that later if you want.
Yeah, they said
the
that you
homie
could.
Byron Bowers, my friend, the comedian, put the new steering wheel, like the Macan wheel, on his 997 Porsche. It looks amazing.
That's Joey said that he's like, listen, we can change that stuff. So basically, I'm going to overland this, and because we're doing baseball all day long, so I'm going to put 18s, not 20s, because Joey's like very big on being like, this has got to be real. You have to like use it and functional at the same time. He thinks putting 20s on the car is kind of like
poserish.
Yeah, poserish or whatever. Roof rack, but
Are you actually going to go off-roading?
I am going to go off-roading, but more importantly, I know this sounds crazy, my life right now is baseball. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is baseball with my son. So now he's like, so we're on 3 different teams. I'm the coach, and we're running around. So I need I can't take the Taycan, and I'm traveling with baseball kids everywhere with cleats and things. I mean, my car is just disgusting. And so I said, hey, let's get like an off-roady thing, because everywhere we go, it's in the mud, it's in the, we're going on baseball fields in the backwoods of whatever.
Oh, okay.
And so am I going to go off-roading? I'm going to shoot some videos and try to find things.
Yeah.
But I would say that, I'm being honest, it's fair enough to say that it's going to be a mall crawler plus.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's fine.
And I need to travel out to Long Island, you know where.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost like you're going off-road on 495.
Yeah, it's
kind of a nightmare.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And so I am just beating that Taycan up. And remember when the whole issue with the Taycan when I first got it? I ordered one then because I wanted to give it back because of the issue when I first got this one. I was like, this is ridiculous, I don't want this. It's now coming in. So it's been like the trifecta of I've been waiting for years for all these cars. And now they're all January 17th.
Okay.
British Racing Green. I'll show you another picture.
They're taking this one back and replacing it.
Swapping.
Okay.
British Racing Green.
Like a year and a half to get another one.
I'm like, guys, like, come on.
Is it the same thing? Is it a 4?
No, it's 4S.
It's a 4S?
4S. Okay. Have you seen the British Racing Green version of it?
It looks awesome.
With the gold wheels.
With gold wheels? Oh, from Porsche?
Yeah.
They charge you $9,000 for gold wheels.
Well, because they gave me a second set of wheels.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
cool.
I'll give those back.
All right.
Call it even.
All right, cool.
Put that up
Good
there.
move.
So it's a great, it's an easy swap.
All right. So Joey's going to do an overlanding build for you.
Yes, of course.
Is he putting some kind of like Pimp My Ride baseball theme on it? Is he
No, we're going to put the snorkel, but on the snorkel, do you see that thing back there? I'm sure the camera may not pick it up, but do you see that design?
Camera will not see it.
Hand? So I had this, I'll send you or Zach all this.
It's like
B-roll.
your logo thing, but
somebody drew it. This guy, Alex Alpert. So he drew, does all these designs on shoes and walls, Formula One, Nike. Like he'll make like an art car basically, or art thing. So he came in the other day. He's a really nice guy. He's from Brooklyn, and he did a super vacuum blaster, a vacuum thing.
Oh, I saw. Yeah, he did like in Sharpie. Vacuum. Yeah.
So
cool.
I was almost thinking about having him do some thing here, but whatever.
I wouldn't do that.
I'm gonna have him do it on the snorkel.
Oh, that's fun.
It just has like a little weird thing because it's a snorkel. I can always just sand it off or polish it off. But yeah, snorkel, roof rack. But the roof rack's gonna be custom so that it has stairs because we go to. I cannot express to you.
Oh, so you can watch
sit up there because the fence is there. I go like this.
So you can put chairs and shit up there. And,
both. Yeah. Like my wife and I can sit there and watch the baseball.
Do they make a pop-up bleacher? Where it could be a roof rack, but a bleacher that comes up?
He's going to do that so that we don't like fall off. Like, and then fall down.
Oh, that's fun.
So we're going to play with that.
That's kind of fun.
The back's going to be changed, and there's going to be a winch.
That's a little Pimp My Ride.
It's a little bit.
I heard you like watching baseball.
Yeah, so now we're going to put
a bleacher on your shit.
Yeah, exactly. We put like a pitching machine up there or something,
That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So,
I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, thank you for that. So it's coming in on Friday, and then we're taking it
You're
to
going to leave it
Speedsport.
gold?
Well, we're gonna make
You're
it
gonna
matte,
wrap it
and wrap it matte just to change it up because gold is a little bit.
You knew like the matte PPF.
Yeah, matte PPF to kind of change it up a little bit. But for the most part, I mean, the car is like ridiculously matte. And when I got in it to drive it, I was used to stepping on the gas of the Taycan. Well, you have to actually give it a little more gas as electric. When I stepped on the gas on that with the 400 pounds of torque, I absolutely roasted the tires, thinking that the guy's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I didn't realize how much torque this thing has.
Yeah, so. It's got a bunch. They're cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, so we're dealing with that. And then I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. So it's a little bit weird. You know Hans, of course. Do you remember Hans, your agent?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
Hans Schiff.
Hans Schiff, yeah. So Hans, and he'll be watching this, by the way. So Hans
no longer my agent, but a nice guy.
Nice guy. So he left CAA.
Yes.
And now he's producing. So long story short, I'm now working on a pilot for a major media network. He's scripted this to make sure that I don't whatever. So we're in the middle of doing all this 2-year thing, and so they're basically challenging me to expand on what I currently do to cars, but to larger things. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up because it's not 100% like inked yet. It's been 2 years of nightmare. I'm sure you understand Hollywood stuff, but and so we're waiting, but hopefully it'll work out. But the thing I'm trying to express here is we're looking for bigger things.
Literally bigger things?
Physically bigger things.
Airplanes, boats?
Airplanes, yachts, whatever. Okay, that makes sense. But like amusement parks. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like amusement parks where like the bumper car section has been abandoned for years and we go in and we clean everything up and blah, 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 and get the kids come. So think of it like a mixture of like Dirty Jobs and American Pickers, where it's like cleaning America.
I get it. I understand. I can see the meeting. I can see the meeting where they go, here's how the meeting goes. They go, you know how when Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, they buy the soccer team in Wales and they don't just save the team, they save the town. They go, we need to save something.
By cleaning it.
Yeah, we need to clean something up. We need to save, the forgotten middle America, whatever. And they go, we need to like clean like infrastructure.
Yeah, like buildings and whatever. So
I can picture this meeting.
It's morphed because in the past, remember 3 years
and
ago,
they go, it's gotta be like American Pickers meets Dirty Jobs meets the history meets Pawn Stars meets Storage Wars, and there's like a overlapping diagrams.
And they want the American story of how it built the business. I mean, you get the whole thing.
And there's got to be a big reveal of now this bumper car is worth $45,000 because it's clean.
So
we're
excited.
Hollywood is so fucking predictable.
Well, you know how it is. we're excited about it nonetheless.
I'm not trying to knock your hustle. It's just like I've been in those meetings. I know how they look.
Well, they're fun meetings for sure. But if anybody watching knows anything big that needs to be cleaned up, I'm trying to find. Like you want like a Ferrari and a barn.
There's a cargo ship at the bottom of the fucking ocean.
It's
right
true.
now.
There's plenty of cars to clean in there. That is a great.
Find my first car.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Only like $50 million to probably.
Oh, and it's probably crushed into a.
That'd be great.
You know.
You want to make a first episode?
You could clean the Titan submersible.
It's true, dude. That's not a bad idea. We're talking helicopters.
Listen, that's a very bad idea. That's a very fucking bad idea. Don't do
the
that.
Titan. Oh my god. I didn't mean that as a joke. I thought you meant the submersible. That's never mind. Cut that. That's not what I was saying. I thought you meant like the thing that would go down and like actually get the cars.
No. I mean the one that people died in.
That escaped me right there. Sorry.
Big things, huh?
Yeah. So anything big, battleship. Like I'm. That's these the ideas. I'm like, okay, but like they don't want just cars.
I get that. I get that.
You know the A story, the B story, the C story. You get all of it. Tapestry, I got to clean, or like some engine component.
But like someone brings you a fucking ship.
Right.
What do you do?
We did Freedom 1. That thing took forever. There was like 50 detailers on there. It took like a week, but we got it. I sincerely can do it. Like, right. You know me.
All right.
And then like I think when they saw the whole thing, the backstory is, you remember that show? There was a History Channel show, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
It didn't work out with timing, and I didn't want to like stop my YouTube filming and a lot of other stuff. And I was like, no, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Like I want to do my own thing. This is my own thing that I was trying to do forever. Being like, let's clean lots of things. Let's like have it bigger. So, anyways, I'm pretty excited about it, but it's not. When it finally happens or whatever it is, and if it does go, I'll come and I'll do a podcast.
Come clean my fucking house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly.
My building needs an outside power wash.
Oh, excellent! I'm sure.
I just got a quote. I haven't done my windows at my building in 3 years.
Windows are expensive to do.
Not that expensive.
How much?
Dude, under a G for all of them.
I actually don't know how many windows do you have?
I don't even know. I haven't counted, but the guy came and looked at the building and gave me a price. It was under $1,000 for the whole building.
Does he got to get on a ladder, or does he have to get on a forklift thing?
Ladder.
Not a forklift. You don't
ladder. I only have windows to the second story.
Okay.
The top half of the building has no windows.
I just assumed you had to get. You know what I'm talking about? I can't.
Yeah,
like
a scissor lift.
A scissor lift or whatever.
You do not need a scissor lift. You can do it with ladders. But like, I was surprised at how cheap it was, and then I felt a little silly for not doing it earlier.
Window cleaning.
No, but like, it was the same to do my huge building as it was to do my house. I was surprised.
Really?
Yeah.
You get your windows cleaned at your house?
I don't now because I have a one-story house.
Dude, and you moved too. We gotta talk about that.
I have
later,
a one-story house now, but at my old house, which was 3 stories, I had to have a place come in with the huge ladders and do it once a year, especially because of the beach. It was. They'd clean it, and then like 2 days later, they'd be fucked.
I can imagine.
I
mean, you were literally on the beach,
which has its upsides, but its downsides are that like you cannot keep your house clean.
When I went upstairs on your top floor, I would go like this and be like, oh my god, there's sand everywhere.
I was just, it was just like, because we had no air conditioning.
The sand was like where the wall, like the beach was where the wall.
It was awesome, but also with no air conditioning, that means the windows are always open, which means the sand is always coming in your fucking house.
Yeah, that's true.
So new house, not a problem.
Is it nice? Everything good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
New house is fucking awesome.
Nice.
It's very nice.
The
only stairs are in the pool.
Really?
My knees are very happy.
Wow.
It's great.
I have to invite
roller
myself
skate
over.
around that bitch.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's very close to the shop. It's really,
Yeah, man. So we've been absolutely cooking here. Lots of crazy things. I just wanted to say I had this crazy popular program, ATA, Ammo Training Academy 100, where I was teaching people, and then at ATA 200, where I showed them how to polish with Kevin Brown, and now we're launching this ATA 300 in the next month. It took me 2 years. I filmed 90 episodes that have not aired. And
it's for your YouTube channel?
No, it's a thing called Kajabi. So
it's called
like
what?
Kajabi. It's a program. It's like a masterclass, for lack of a better word. Masterclass. So it's basically geared towards people who are professional detailers. We got a lot of detailing going on in the background here.
Yeah, they're wrapping a car black over here. Sorry. Although it looks like they're done.
They're almost on their way out. Basically, I'm teaching people freedom through financial independence. They want, like, how did you get to where you're going? Like, listen, like, you know my story, like sleeping in the back of the car, getting totally whatever.
Most people aren't doing that.
Right. I'm saying, how did I get to where it was? And people see this and they go like, oh, he must have just, and I'm like, so I've expanded on what's a profit and loss sheet? What's a balance sheet? You know, what's an 80-20 rule? How do we look at customers and filter that? Like all the things that people don't want to talk about. And usually it's like, I want to get the gold medal in polishing, the paint correction.
Right.
I have to get, and I'm like, well, why don't we focus on the gold medal in actually being profitable and running a sustainable business? Because if you want to be in this for long term, you have to have customers that are going to keep coming in. And so we really go in, I interview people, CPAs, lawyers, the whole thing. 90 episodes, and it's coming out in November 1st, and obviously there's sign-ups and things to do that.
You got to pay a fee to get that?
Yeah, in this case, people want to come in and train, and so we had so many people wanting to come in and train. I was like, I can't physically, like, it just doesn't make any sense to keep the videos going, run the company, and like my full-time job of being a baseball coach, basically. It's like, it's virtually impossible to be able to do any of that. So I said, what's the best way to do it at half? People are willing to get detailed training. It's like very expensive, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. You got to go on the weekend. You have a 3-day training in Idaho. I'm making this up, or whatever place. So you got to travel there. You got to get room. You're talking $5, $6, $7 grand easy and leaving. So for this one, we're not sure what the price is going to be, but it's like, you know, $1,000, $1,500, whatever it is. Like
for access to the videos.
All these videos, lifetime, and being able to go back and forth.
Do you think people can learn from the videos the way that they could learn in person?
Excellent question. The thing is, I've arranged it in a different type, like hyper learning. I learned it. We arranged it so that detailing is third, because in this particular course, because the other ones I've just given away for free, like learning how to polish, the ATA 200, like, watch it for free. It's great. This one's about how to be financially independent and how to run a company. So we talk about the things that people don't normally talk about in terms of finances and balance sheets and how to look at a company, how to look at a customer. Not every customer is the one you want. People think, hey, you know, I take everybody and we're going to be great. And it's like, no, to be successful in detailing or any business for that matter, it's about picking the right customer and about picking the right car. And so I make an analogy like Steph Curry, like one of the best shooters, or Michael Jordan or whatever, right? If Michael Jordan was to shoot at half court, right? He's probably had a pretty good chance of doing that. But I bet you I'd beat him if I was under the basket just doing layups. So it was 1-to-1. I'll do a layup and you go half court. I'll compete with you there. And so I'm trying to teach people, go for the layup, because you're going to win at a higher percentage than you would trying to. And so
that's like, it's like if detailing, it's like saying you're going to do a $3,000 concourse detail versus a $299. You know, wash, wax, and really dash wipe down, basically. You're going to make a lot more money doing that.
So there's this impulse as detailers, and I think it's like a psychological thing for us to make everything right. You know, I'm crazy as it is, and it's like, if I take this bigger job on, and I did it for 300 hours, and I charged them 10 grand, I'm like, you're insane. Like, you should just take the $500 wash and wax, or the $1,200 or $1,500 coating.
Polish,
so that's where I sort of priced it. Like, you do one coating, and plus we're giving a bunch of free products
at the shop even, like, I make more money by giving washes away. I don't charge for washes, they're included.
Right.
But I raise the price $100 a month on everybody. So I have a more upscale service that the washes come for free, but only 20% of my customers actually take advantage of that.
Right.
And so even though, you know, the staff are like, you know, we're doing all these washes for free. I go, well, it feels like that, doesn't it?
Right.
But here's the difference versus we gave away $3,500 worth of washes, but our total gross, you know, income increased by 4 times that much by charging everybody that $100 a month.
Having that conversation is what that is all about. So to answer your question of, hey, people are not going to learn physically hands-on. One, we have another program where I'm just recommending to go to Root Baz or Kevin Brown or whatever. Like, hey, if you want more hands-on, that's great. But that is absolutely useless if you have no idea how to make the money. So it's like, I'm the greatest detailer in the world. I'm like, really? Are you profitable?
I'd rather be the richest detailer in the world.
Thank you. So I say, the saying goes, you want a gold medal in being the world's best paint corrector? You can have it. I was like, have a gold medal in being a millionaire.
There's a great Mitch Hedberg bit. Remember Mitch Hedberg? Remember when he said, I used to try really hard at sports until I learned you could buy trophies? That's the same shit.
I love it.
That's the same fucking thing.
So we really emphasize that. So if they want hands-on training, we're going to do hands-on training, et cetera, et cetera. But like, if you don't master this, And so there's another saying where it's like, if you think that having detailing skills trumps that of having business skills, you're never going to be financially independent or free. And so I talk about, like, most people get debt. Oh, I'm going to go get a bunch of debt and I'm going to build a detail shop. It's like, hey, why don't you be mobile, save up your rupees just like I did, all your money, live in the back of a whatever, and then you can subsidize all these things. Not one penny from AMMO is in this building. This is all straight up detailing, and I wanted to do that separately. So we go into that 90 episodes, et cetera, and I think it's really it's coming out soon. So anyways,
awesome.
Yeah, pretty pumped.
Do those guys need you for anything?
No.
Okay, cool. Let's see. We've got 51 minutes. All right. We've got a bunch of stuff on the Patreon.
So can you close that door for me, please?
Do you have anything else pressing that you need to share with us? There's not to rush you. That's all great stuff. But I want to. My dad texted me. My helmet arrived. Carrying a helmet around the country stinks, and I'll tell you why. To put it in your regular suitcase means you need a much bigger suitcase than you otherwise. It's fucking huge. Doesn't fit in a carry-on. And if you've got to bring, if I particularly,
you have to carry it gets counted as a carry-on.
It gets counted as one of your 2 items. So if I need clothes, cameras, and now a helmet, it fucks up my shit.
Yeah, like you're like $300 in baggage fees.
Well, forget the fees. It's just the inconvenience of, and the risk of checking a bag that you otherwise might.
Can't you do the golf bag thing where you like send it golf bag? You know the golf bag where you go.
I FedExed my helmet. That's what my dad said. He's at his house right now, and because to send my helmet last week, it was $40 to FedEx it here.
Right.
But he just texted me saying it arrived.
So what are you using it for?
This road and track thing. The reason I'm in New York right now is the Hudson Quattrocento. It's the road and track event that I lead.
Yeah,
I
like 2-3 years ago, they were going to stop here, and you guys have like 50 people. I'm like, what do you, like, there's no way I could fit 50 people.
So it's still 50 people.
But then you go on. Why do you have your helmet though?
Because we rented Lime Rock. We're doing track.
Oh, okay.
We rented Lime Rock, and we're going to Wilzig Manor. We got 2 track days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so they really want, they want it, it's road and track, so there's got to be great hotels and great food and great roads, but there also has to be a track element.
When does it start, tomorrow?
Starts tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
And my dad's coming.
Oh my gosh.
He's gonna be my guest, so he's coming with me, so it's also gonna be fun. Yeah. But
what are you driving?
Cadillac Blackwing, which they're dropping at my house today.
Everybody says that's like the greatest thing ever.
The best.
They're
so awesome.
Right.
Yeah. The 4 Blackwing and the 5 Blackwing are both amazing. I'm driving a 5 Blackwing on this. Either one is great. The 5 will be massively collectible, especially with a stick for sure. And they're just so great.
And to do it with your dad, it'll
be really fun.
That's going to be awesome.
But that's why I have my helmet.
That makes sense.
So anyway, we've got a bunch of stuff on the Patreon. I have not pre-screened. So we're gonna try to get through.
There may be some answers of I don't know.
We're gonna try and get through them all, but maybe that's not. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. Of course, if you want to ask questions of our guests, get the show early, get an ad-free listening experience, and more. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast is where you do it.
How does that work? The Patreon is working well?
It's great.
Is it?
It's great. Yeah, it's great. It's our patrons are very supportive. There's a little bit of churn every month.
Like people in and out kind of thing?
Yeah, a little bit in, a little bit out, but overall it's growing, and it is, I cannot recommend it highly enough.
That's the car.
For someone who's, that is a nice color.
Isn't it?
That's not Jewish racing gold.
No, it's like, I think it's an umber metallic.
It's got like an outdoorsy kind of vibe. Gold brown.
Yeah, brown on the inside.
Yeah, that's a great looking car. As
24,000 miles.
As a nice looking car. It's like as if
you have like 3 miles on a gas car.
Is the interior's tan? Gray?
No, it's brown. It's brown.
It's brown?
It's just like the colors that they.
Yeah, it's nice.
It was going to go on bad.
Oh, this steering wheel stinks. Yeah. You got to get the new steering wheel.
That's the one thing I don't like.
It's got the push pulls, and you want the paddles.
You can put paddles on an aftermarket, and you'll be fine. But like the next model up is so much better.
Yeah, you want the Macan steering wheel.
With the posts.
Yeah, the better steering wheel. The sport one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there
other
is a
than the
conversion.
steering wheel, this is great. Yeah, the conversion's not hard. Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's diesel, it'll last forever.
Yeah, that's great. Prashant says, what products do you use to clean? I feel like you were asked this last time. Clean and waterproof a convertible soft top.
There's lots of things that you can use, but it's basically this same thing that you would use for the most part, like let's say on the interior of your car where you're putting like fabric cleaner. I mean, can't think of the name right now, went right out of my mind. When you put
Scotch Guard?
Yeah, Scotch Guard, like that. It's the same metaphor for the outside. Most people use 303 aerospace.
303 aerospace.
You put it on there, and it depends on the material, but most of the time it's like Scotch Guard.
Yeah.
So I don't get too crazy with that, because sometimes I think people overtouch
convertible
tops, and they overdo it. Convertible tops, I tell people, wash it if it's dirty. If it's not, leave it alone. Blow dry it. Try not to wipe microfiber towels, and don't use stiff brushes on it, because it turns into nappy. It's like, just don't touch it unless it's dirty.
At the shop, Eric got us a Dr. Beasley's product that we really like.
Jim is great.
I don't remember the name of the actual product, but it's some kind of convertible
he's
top
out of Chicago.
thing.
He mixes all his stuff.
It's nice.
His
interior products are good.
Yeah, he's a very nice
we
guy.
use yours and we use some of theirs too.
Jim is great.
Ivan says, what common advice to clean your car is definitely wrong and you absolutely do not recommend?
Taking it through a mechanical car wash is pretty basic. You don't want to do that. What happens is they use different chemicals. So when you're going through a mechanical car wash, the thing that people don't necessarily understand, what they do understand is, hey, it's spinning the thing and you're scratching it. It's like, yeah, you can see it, we get that. What people don't usually see is, for the most part, when they say a touchless wash, so you take that out, like, oh, now we've solved the problem. So instead of physically abrading and lifting, agitating, what you're doing is you're zapping it with chemicals, and then rinsing it, and then zapping it with it. So you're hitting with high pH first, usually, then you neutralize it. Then you reverse it by going low pH, and then you rinse everything off. So you're zapping your car when you think you're not really doing a brushless wash. You're beating the hell out of it with respect to the chemical side of it. So that's something that most people don't get. So be conscious of that, and that's why, like, if you look at coatings, everybody says, hey, if you take it to a mechanical car wash, or you have to use this product, it's basically just saying, hey man, don't hit it with crazy high. So you can do tremendous cleaning with high pH, and you can do tremendous cleaning with low pH. It doesn't matter. So keep that in mind.
I already know the answer to this, but Larry, Miguel says, is it reasonably possible to get PPF on rims? Not really.
Not really.
The heat cycling of wheels would really mess that up.
Look at the cuts that you'd have to. I guess, but
you have a ceramic-like product for wheels.
Yeah, wheels are like BMW or Mercedes. You just want to keep up with them, and so we put coatings on them so it makes them easier to rinse. And 9 times out of 10, I don't necessarily wash them, but I will. Like my wife's car, I'll power wash it down real quick. It's going to rain later. It's fine. It's about it's like I say, going to the gym. You don't go to the gym once a year, like, work out and be like, I'm good for the year. It's like, it's a consistent thing. So
if you don't let them get too dirty, then it's easier to let them.
That's my point. So rinse them down as much as you can.
He also says, is it possible to repair minor curb rash well enough to look like it never happened? With the right vendor, absolutely.
I thought he meant himself.
Oh, you're not yourself.
If he meant himself, we can maybe, if you know how to sand things.
No,
but
go
like,
to
a
good wheel repair place. Like, you could absolutely. We do it all the time.
2 seconds.
All the time.
And it's like, if you go to a cheaper one, it's like $140. If you go to like the bomb guy, it's like $250.
Yeah.
They're not that.
Unless you bent the wheel.
I wanted to say that. So most people realize, hey, I have a cut in the wheel. I was like, yeah, okay, who cares about the cut right now? Right now you have a gunshot wound to the head. Don't worry about painting your toenails. Like, at the head, most of the time that is indicative of a bend in the wheel. So who cares if it looks good? So what my point being is, go with the $250 guy, like Proformance. Those guys are amazing. They'll make sure that it's straight. Then they'll clean then they'll paint the toenails.
Right. George says, in your career detailing, what has been the biggest code brown moment, and were you able to fix it before it had to go back to the client?
Yeah, I probably had a few. I would say that the airplane that I did, I understand what he's saying, like a mistake that I've made. Luckily, I haven't made too many. I've burned through some paint. Everybody's done that. I did it on like minivans when you and I had the shop. And I had like a heart attack, and we got it painted for $400. Since then, I haven't really had any major issue, thank God. But the biggest issue that I had, and the biggest regret that I had, was doing that airplane, the 401. Where it was an abandoned airplane, but they left the window open so animals got inside and birds got inside. So I cleaned all of it. It's a great episode. You gotta watch it. It's wonderful, blah, blah, blah. But what I didn't realize, even with my mask, I was steaming everything. And so I vaporized all of the rodent feces. and it went into my lungs, and then I had to go. I was sick forever. And you know me, I'm like crazy, like healthy. I drink water all day.
I don't think he meant brown to mean feces, but yes,
whatever. I don't think
it turns out there was feces involved in this particular.
So I got incredibly sick because my PPE was not there. But no, to answer what I think he's asking, I have never really had a major issue other than burning through paint, which you got to repaint it. It's not the end of the world.
So we just did 5 minutes on the Blackwing, and I just got a text, and I'm not trying to read text during the show, but the car was supposed to be delivered to my parents. I just wanted to make sure that I could give my mom and dad a heads up.
Hey, this car's arriving, whatever.
Yeah. Hey, unfortunately the Blackwing was damaged this morning by the journalist we were collecting it from. It is not loanable. Would you mind a BMW M8 competition? That's what that is.
That is that right there.
Which is fine. I hope it doesn't have the stupid seats. I hope it has regular seats.
Yeah, I don't even know if those have the stupid ones.
I don't know. I can't see.
Those look regular because the guy.
But I hope it doesn't have the stupid seats. But
I drove the M4 comp.
Yeah.
It's
fast, right?
Press car, and I was supposed to take it out to Long Island, you know where, right?
Yeah.
I got 15 minutes down the road. I literally turned around.
The seats are horrible, right?
They're so bad that I'm not even trying to exaggerate. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I physically, I was like, I'm going to be crippled if I get out. I'm not going to be able to work the next day. I turned around and I said, I'm so sorry. I'll clean it. I'll do whatever it is you want me to do with this. But I physically cannot drive this car.
Yeah,
I'm not an exaggeration.
I hope this M8 does not have those seats because it's the worst seats ever put into a car.
That's so funny that there's an M8 competition.
A couple people are just saying that they love you and they love your videos. Kevin says, I have a 2017 911 that had nose PPF installed when it was new. Should I be looking into having it removed and replaced? Can it damage the paint if I keep it?
That is incredibly subjective. We can talk about it forever, but I'll keep it under 30 seconds. Essentially, 2017, you're over the nervousness. Like 2000, early 2010, you're like, all right, you probably change it. It really is dictated on how much the car has been driven, because if you do one, you kind of have to do all of them. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if he's got more. You don't just take the bumper off and then put it on, then you'll have the other pieces. I know he's just saying bumper, but I would say go to a professional and you have to take your time. If you don't heat that up properly and start to pull it and just get frustrated and pull, it's funny, you can hear it. When you heat it up, and I use the like boiling water on it, and you pull it, it just goes like this. When you pull it too fast, it goes pop, 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 and that's the aggressive paint pulling, the glue pulling off the paint. Like you can pop paint like that. So
my Acura NSX had original PPF. And the 2005.
You pull it off?
Yeah.
And did it pull it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It pulled a bunch of paint off.
Yeah, but did it pull the edges or the middle?
The middle. It pulled a bunch of paint off, and I had to have the bumper repainted.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I have a great body shop.
That matched it.
And they do great work. And I now have I did shout out to 405 Motoring, nose to tail, hand cut on the whole car.
That's all I do on every single car.
And the car is so pristine. It's only got 17,000 miles on it, and it's so valuable that it's worth the investment of doing that.
And you can wipe it down.
And it makes me feel better. Right. It's not a money thing. It's literally like, because this is here, I will now drive it.
Right.
Like it was the same with the Safari. It was the same with the Spider.
You still have the Countach?
Yeah. And I can't. That's original paint. I can't. I can't put PPF on that.
Those guys at detail that were amazing, so I don't even know.
When Donnie's done with it, that's going to need another one. So either you come out if you want to do it again, or I mean, Derek is on the payroll at the shop.
Yeah,
so Derek Bemis is the best.
Derek's the man.
Yeah, and so it's but
anyway, back in the day, they used to actually glue the edges.
That's crazy.
And when you pull it off, you would literally just
oh my god, it's nuts.
Pull the things off. Yeah.
Rich B says, I have no access to a lift. I'm living in the Northeast. It's super hard to clean the underside of my car. Is there an undercoating fluid you recommend?
Yeah, there's some like fluid film type things. Fluid film is an actual company, but there's another one I actually have on the shelf there, and I can't remember the name of them, but they're in New Hampshire. Actually, I think it's New Hampshire Oils or something like that, where they put an undercoating on your car, but it's less permanent than like taking a real undercoating because it like messes up your floor. It's more of like a very thick like oil that goes underneath there and protects it. So you can do that. Probably cost you $1,500 or whatever. Or I show some videos where you take like a regular garden hose and you put a paint stick and you just like duct tape it and open it up and just get underneath your car and clean it.
Dude, you know,
they also make tools for that.
Did you tell me about the sprinkler?
Yeah.
The oscillating
all
sprinkler.
day.
We do that.
Yeah, it's great.
It's fucking awesome. That's a great move. You just put the oscillating sprinkler underneath the car.
They also make power
and let
washers.
it sit there, and you move it. You move it every 5 minutes or so, and it does a good job.
For the Northeast, and I say like, hey, if the outside of your car is like salty and gross or whatever, like, and you have a coating or protection, you're fine. It's the part that most people, it's the armpits of your car that really cause the issues.
Right. Okay. Alejandro says, I have a 1970s BMW that I someday want to get restored and repainted. Is there something I could do or tell the paint or body shop to do that will make it easier to care for the paint in the future, like extra layers or clear coat?
Well, I mean, having clear coat would be
just
great.
New paint.
Well, new paint and clear coat. In 70s, he likely doesn't have clear coat.
Yeah.
So what I did when I painted the 964 is when I went to J&B Body Works, my guys, we painted in Bentley black.
Yeah.
The interesting thing that people didn't realize, because when I put the clear bra on afterwards, you usually have to wait 60 to 90 days.
Right.
And what's fascinating is we did it the day after we finished painting it. And they're like, how could you do that? You're going to ruin the paint. I was like, you didn't see the rest of the video. You missed it. So what happens is in the first layer of paint, we took it, physically put it outside in the sun, and then brought it back inside, sanded it. And then what happened is the bubbles, the solvents in the spray popped out. And so if you have the time, money, and effort, and they're willing to do that, if you bring it out and you heat it up in between each layer, they do 1, 2, we did 5. Most people do 2, right? They do 2 layers. If you sand it, and let it gas out quickly, then you can put a clear bra on it. So if this guy wants to go like baller status, do those layers in between, put a nice thick coat of clear coat. And they sand
But even
it.
just a brand new high quality paint job.
You'll be fine. I just don't know if this is like a show car guy and he wants to spend like crazy money on it. If you sand it after every layer of clear coat, I mean, it's just like, dude.
James says, what is your most and least favorite exterior color to work on and why?
I mean, the basic answer, of course, would be black is more difficult than white. And the crazy part is it's equally scratched and it's equally hard or equally soft. It's just the background. If scratches are white, in theory, right? Because of the way that they work like this, the light bounces off. They look like they're white. They're not really white, but they look like they're white. If the background is black, you have less leeway. So I would say black cars, in my opinion, are both of that answer. They're the best and the worst, because when it's done right, it's like you could dive into it. It's like that's what the 964 is. It's like black oil coming from the ground. It's so beautiful. But when you're trying to move cars out, it's kind of nice to have a silver car every once in a while to detail, because it's not that big of a deal.
Sure. Tim says, my wife is considering a manual R8. What are some of the pros and cons you've had during your ownership?
I've had nothing but, so the truth about the R8 is, like, I don't know, the second or third week after I got it, because I was so pumped up. I got the R8 because of driving in Bull Run. That was like it was a halo car for me to say, like, if I can get this car, it's almost emotional. I'm not staying in the back of my car. I'm not sleeping in the back of my car anymore. Like, I've done it. So that car represents more. And so when I got that, the second week or whatever, I took it to New Jersey Motorsports and blew everything up. And it wasn't like the car engine blew up. It's just, it had never been run like that before. So I believe in taking it to the track and doing that to find out the weak spots. And then we changed all the electrical units or whatever. So that's the only issue that I've had with the car. Most people say that the air conditioning fan thing doesn't work. Mine works perfectly fine, blows ice cold. I put JRZ RS Pros on there. I changed those because at the time, the shocks were leaking, which is pretty normal. And to put JRZs in versus the original stocks was like a $500 difference. And I was like, well, then put the JRZs in, like, it's way better. And so the car itself has been bulletproof. It rides great. Having said all of that, now the age of the vehicle is showing itself not in its dirty and not, and you get into
the electronics.
And you get into a tight, I mean, the electronics, the backup camera, like, it's like, you can't see anything, whatever. It's cool. My point being is it's now kind of landed in the zone of being like, not vintage is the right word. Not classic. What's the word I'm looking for? Because
used.
It's like, it's kitschy and it's fun and it's cool, but like you get into a Taycan Cross Turismo and you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is the fastest, craziest handling, comfortable car
it's
ever.
Not old enough to be a classic,
like,
and it's not new and fast enough to be impressive. It's in that mid-range.
It's like cars and bids. You know what I mean? It's like a weird.
Dude, I understand. Like, I had this E46 M3 that was mint.
That's exactly the thing.
And it was like, not really nice.
Right.
But like, it wasn't fast enough to excite me. And it wasn't old enough that I was like, totally focused on the driving experience.
964.
Whereas my 80s shit
Yeah.
is like, okay, that's classic, and it's not, you know. So I understand. It falls in the middle.
It's in that weird mix. And so I asked you before. I was like, I was tempted to sell it because I wanted to get my wife a car, like whatever. And I don't know if I have the heart to do it. I think that car, Iron Man, whatever. I just think it's a special car, and I think obviously it's Audi's Halo car. You know, the whole thing. And everybody hated it in the beginning. You know, when we first saw it.
I liked it, but
I didn't like it.
Huh?
I didn't like it when they first came out. I thought it was weird. The side blade was weird.
Oh,
and then
I thought it was interesting. I liked it, and I especially liked it because it was clearly related to the Lamborghini, and I fit in it better. But you know, right now, that car value-wise is probably at close to its floor. So you know, if you're willing to hang on to it, even if you're willing to, like, you know, non-op it or whatever for a little while, I think over time there'll be more value there. But
I think you're right. I think it's a beautiful. I wish I had the space or the whatever to look at it. I think it's a beautiful machine.
But I understand why it's not fast enough compared to the Taycan or exciting enough compared to an air-cooled Porsche.
Right.
It falls in the middle. But it's still a very nice car.
It's a beautiful car. And that one in particular, of course, because...
And as like a first exotic for somebody, like they're probably great.
You're in the game for, what, 70 grand or something?
And you can, by the way, if you're tired of it, VF Engineering makes a blower. And for like 10, 12,000 bucks, reversible, you can be pushing about 550 horsepower.
See, the argument people say, how come you don't have the V10? It sounds better. I said, I think, in my opinion, the V8 with the manual in that year, that color, I call it, it's a sports metaphor, but it's like a tight end. The tight end is fast. He can block. He can catch. He can kind of do everything. He's not a linebacker and he's not a running back. He doesn't sprint. This one, so
the blower didn't change anything about it,
you'd have
but
to
more
change
power.
the brakes at that point. Now you have so much horsepower.
Only if you're going to the track.
I just like it, it's like a ballerina. It's perfect the way that it is, but it sits in this. In 10 years, you'll be like, this classic is amazing.
Right. But I'm just saying, if you're tired of it and you want to turn the screws a little bit to make it feel more exciting, the blower is very non-invasive. It's reversible.
And can you tune it down? Or is it just like you get 500 horsepower? Like I
but
wouldn't
it
want to have
doesn't feel like different. It's just the power band is the same. There's just more. It's delightful.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
for 12 grand, it better be delightful.
Dope shit.
Yeah.
And they have blowers for the V10 too, and they're incredible.
I can imagine.
They work great.
Have you ever driven a GT, the Audi R8 GT?
Yeah.
Are they awesome?
Yeah, but like it's all kind of incremental. If you know,
I don't like the way that they look, but I like the concept of a GT. You know what I mean? Like when they change the body, it's just like what do you?
It's the GT. It's all fine-tuned stuff. So the difference between an R8 V10 Plus and a Performance and the GT, it's little bits of change. I went all the way to Spain to drive the GT. And it was great, but most of the time it's an R8. You know, it's like
I've never driven one. That's why I'm always.
They're nice. Yeah. They're great. I mean, they're nice, but it's not going to be a mind-blowingly different experience from a V10 Performance.
Really?
Yeah, not mind-blowing. No. Jake says, how many times do you use microfibers before throwing them out, and what is the best product and method to wash them for multiple uses?
All right, so that's a very difficult one to say because it depends on what you're using it for.
Yeah.
So I have a video about how I put them in tiers. So after I use it multiple times, let's say on the exterior, and then all of a sudden I accidentally catch a thing and it's like gross, then I'll downgrade it from an A to a B, and then it works on the interior. And when the interior, and all of a sudden I get like grease, and it will go to the wheels. But typically I color code them.
Yeah, we do that too.
Yeah, and now that we have so many towels or whatever, it confuses everybody if I take a red towel and then I'm using it on the wheels. But in theory, you can do that. So if you have multiple towels, use different colors. If you have one towel, then just downgrade them and keep them separate.
We have blue for glass, red for exterior, and then yellow for interior.
Yeah, and then washing wise, stay away from the powder. I use regular detergent, but I'm working on a formula that is more specific to that. One thing that we do need to think about is microfiber. It leaves a lot of lint, a lot of little fibers that go down the drain and you know, cause some issues for the fish and all that. So I'm trying to figure out a way to capture that and they make a thing, this contraption I'm trying to figure out, where you throw it in the washing machine. It gets all that, like, you know, if you were doing like a sweater or something, that's a bad example.
Yeah, we have those for the dryer, the little balls.
The balls for the dryer, and there's actually one for the wash too, and I'm trying to figure all that out.
Oh, cool.
So be conscious of that. Everybody knows anything about that, let me know.
Okay.
This chair is killing me, man. What's that?
I know, right? Michael Cosgrove says, what variety of Celsius are you drinking? I like the grape.
Oh, my wife really likes that.
It's like Jolt Cola, but without sugar.
Yeah, she loves that stuff.
It's good for my afternoon podcasts.
What are you drinking here?
That's just stupid Starbucks coffee.
2 sugars, I see?
Yeah.
What's the matter?
2 packs of sugar in a big ass coffee, that's not that much. I stopped putting milk in my coffee.
Why don't you put milk in and not sugar?
Because if I had to choose one, I'd like the sugar better than milk. It's not like a ton of sugar. 2 packets of sugar?
What does a normal person put?
I mean, I don't know what normal is, but that's almost all the way to black. I mean, there's people that put you get some crazy drink, a fucking Frappuccino or something, and a sugar packet is 4 grams of sugar. 1 packet is 4 grams of sugar. A can of Coca-Cola is 35 grams of sugar.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not that much.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
And if I have that once a day, and that is the only coffee I've had today, it's not that much. Yeah.
You know, I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. This is empty too. Look at you.
I mean, congratulations. I don't give a shit. I don't fucking care. You want a medal?
Yeah. No, I want a cookie.
Yeah. Let's see. Suggestions. Here's one. Andrew says, do you have any experience with applying or removing the license plate wraps? Have you seen these? In a couple states now, including California, you can get a license plate sticker that's legal. If you don't want to run a front plate,
I've seen it on a GT3.
yeah, and
like it goes to the
I mean, it's a wrap, it's a sticker, and so Andrew's talking about, I want to put it on my car, but I have an M3 with a curved front bumper and has PPF on it, so he's worried about that. But like, bottom line is, you've never put one of those on.
I've never put one of those on, but like, if it has PPF on it or not, it's irrelevant.
It's a vinyl.
Just stick it right over it.
It's with the curves, it doesn't, you have to heat it up and get it.
No, you should be totally fine. And the worst case scenario is, I'm sure this thing doesn't cost all that much. Take the PPF off, put it on, then put the PPF over it is the way that I would do it. But if it's already PPF on, I would just stick it on. You'll be fine. Use a lot of water.
I would be, yeah.
And then,
I got one for my M3, and I tried to use it, and I couldn't get it to quite sit right. It creased a little bit, and it didn't look great. And I ended up taking it.
Did you apply it with water?
Yeah.
And like card it and do all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And then these stickers...
But the front of my M3 was very curvy. And so it was a multi-contour on the top and the bottom and contour on the sides. And so it just didn't...
need like relief cuts and things on that.
Yeah, and I probably should have had a professional do it, and I didn't.
Now, when you made that, do you go to a website to make that?
I didn't make it. Yeah, the website is licenseplate-wrap.com.
And then does it tell you what states are legal?
Yes.
Is it legal here?
I don't know. I've not looked up Connecticut.
But I just go like, I'm not
It's
putting
legal
plates
in
on
California, but you have to register. So you register your car with the state. I mean, beyond your registration.
Okay.
Beyond that, you register for the program, which is a pilot program. They're testing this, the wrapped plates.
And what's the objective?
It's for people who don't want to put front plates on their car, but in California you have to. It's a law. You have to have front plate.
And so they're saying, hey, I know you don't want to put it on
I know you
there,
don't want to put a front plate. You don't want to drill your bumper.
Right.
Here is a sticker that looks exactly like a California license plate. Same shape, same size, same color. And it is, and you print out this letter that says you've registered for the pilot program with the state, and your vinyl front plate is legal in this state.
And so if you get pulled over,
you keep that in your glove box, and it's legal.
Wow.
Yeah. I did that on my Ford Focus RS before the pilot program. I just had the homie print me out a plate, and I never had any problems.
Did you get ever pulled over?
No. And a couple of cops that I spoke to were like, actually, that's very creative, and I would not ticket you for that.
Like, you put effort into...
No, like, it's a legible front plate. Like, they said, like, it's as good as a front plate. Like, technically, it's not legal, but, like, I don't give a shit. I can read it. And so, but now there is a legal way to do it.
Really?
In California. I have no idea about Connecticut.
Afterwards, you got to text me on
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. That was great.
Yeah. JP182. How do I wash a race car that doesn't have windows in the doors? Carefully.
I mean, I usually put crash wrap on it. You know what crash wrap is, right? Yeah, so just put crash wrap on it. It costs nothing. It's a roll of that is, you know, $100 or whatever. And basically they do that when you go to the racetrack, as you know, you're a race car guy. And if they crash, they just literally saran wrap it so they can pick it up and get it off without falling off. So I crash wrap the windows. And you're
okay. JJ Sullivan, I have full expel PPF on my Mustang for 3 years. The seams on the bumpers are getting dirty. I haven't found a good way to clean them. Any tips on cleaning the seams, meaning the edges?
I know exactly what he's talking about. The problem is you can't right now. So he's seeing black marks, brown marks, whatever.
On the edges.
That's because the edges peeled up while he was driving over X amount of time.
Yeah.
And they basically collected dirt. And so to clean that dirt off would require you to remove the glue, which is impossible to do and be useless because now it's going to flap. So you have two options. First option is you can take a razor blade, which sounds terrifying, but to a professional, like that's what they do. But if you can't do it, fine, because you don't want to cut the paint. You're going to cut out those pieces. You can cut out those pieces, and yes, you may remove a millimeter or whatever, a mil or whatever of that, and it's not going to be protected, but you won't have to replace it. Or option two is to peel it off and replace it. And when you do replace it, the idea is in that case on your car, whatever the model is or whatever, you may want to wrap it around the edges, which may require to remove the bumper or the headlight or whatever the part is that's not there. That's how I would approach both of those. But 9 times out of 10, if it's pretty thin, meaning just a little bit popped up, just take a razor blade and you score it, and then you take a piece and then you peel it. Most people think you go and cut it through. You score the top of the bra, grab the little edge. Oh, I got the edge, and now you scored it. It just peels off.
That sounds fucking sketchy.
Yeah, it's.
I would have a professional do that.
It's definitely a pro thing.
Okay. A lot of people asking about old PPF, but I think you covered that. All the pizza in my belly wants a regimen for high altitude summer hot sun, but also salt and snowy winter protection for exposed carbon fiber.
And the question would be, is that clear coated?
Yeah.
If it's clear coated, you can do everything that you
would do to a paint.
Normal.
Yeah.
If it's exposed and it's not clear coated, then it's a test. I would test it with some coatings on there and see how they react.
Yeah.
Remove it. But I think you can, if I had to guess, because I don't have all the information, I would say that you could probably put a coating on that exposed carbon, and whether he's high altitude or not is irrelevant to the coating, I think, in this particular case. But I don't know if he's asking about like cleaning it under the sun. It's just put a tent, work in the morning, work at night. Like you just can't be in.
Don't do the wash in the hot sun.
It's the only way you can get around it.
Josh says I bought a 1995 Japanese market E-Class. Its clear coat is badly checked from UV exposure, and the paint seems to be stained by tree sap. I'd like to clean it and protect against further damage. Do I need to treat it differently, or can I cut, polish, and apply Reflex as I would an undamaged car?
The answer is if you cut, polish, and blah, 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 then yes, you're totally fine. But he's using the word checked in some... Checked. Sometimes...
You go through it.
No, sometimes people are referring to different things. So the definition of checked is a little bit vague here. Sometimes there'll be crow's feet, or some people call it checks, or however they define it, and that's from the bottom up. If it's from the bottom up, like I just looked at an M3 at 8 o'clock at night the other day from a buddy of mine, and there's nothing that can be done. Even wet sanding will make it better, but it's all from underneath, and people don't realize that. So anything that sits on top, sap sits on top of the thing, you can, of the paint, you can remove that. If it's happening from underneath, checking is what they sometimes call it, or crow's feet or whatever, then no, he can't do that. So that's the vagueness. I can't.
So the answer would be try, but be ready to fucking paint the thing if you're
or send me a picture or whatever and I can take a look.
All right, Dave says, is there a product I can use on my Nappa leather interior in an Audi S4 for cleaning and conditioning that stands out among the rest?
Well, the challenge is like anything else. I think if you want to be good and fast and cheap and all that stuff, you can't, the saying, right? So cleaning and protecting, to me, those are two different things. As soon as you combine them, I think it's a little like a best, you're compromising. So obviously I make my own products, but use whatever you want. So I hate feeling like I'm pitching things, but I would use AMMO lather and make sure that that you clean the area first, and then.
All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? All right, we did the interior stuff.
The last one was like the pizza guy or something, pizza belly. That's
all the pizza in my belly.
There you go.
Yeah. All-wheel drive biased says, is it worth it to put paint sealer on poor quality paint? Would it help it from, not poor quality, I added on poor paint. Would it help it from getting worse? I would say if your paint's not great, don't put sealer on it.
No, if your paint's not great and that's the only option that you have, it's not going to hurt. It will sort of keep steady state, or at least slow the decline.
Sure.
So, but yeah.
I wouldn't bother, but okay. And also, if you get a new car, aside from PPF, what would you recommend doing to keep it as nice as you can for as long as you can while still using it? Wax and regular washes?
PPF, put a coating on top of it, make sure you coat your door jambs, make sure you coat your wheels, and then it's regular maintenance.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You hear that? It's like shaking.
Yeah, so it's okay. Gunnar Ray says, is the Notice Canyon, my watch, still on target for December delivery? Yes, it is, although I don't have an exact date.
What is that about?
I designed a watch. It's awesome. I'll show you what it looks like. Nice. It's really, really fucking cool.
From whom?
I worked with this company, Notice, in California. They do amazing things, and I got to design the watch myself, and they're making it, and we sold the first color. We sold 100 of them in an hour.
Nice.
And then the next color is going to be released January 1, and we're doing 200 of those.
Nice.
And then we're going to do a third version
What
after
do these
that.
run?
$1,200.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's a really cool watch.
Nice.
If you want one, I'll make sure you get one.
Thank you.
Do you still wear that Breitling?
All the time.
You like it? It's a good watch.
That's a great one.
Super
That was
Ocean
all you,
42.
by the way.
I know. I
Yeah.
recommended it.
Yeah.
I thought you would like it. I'm glad you do.
It was a good buy. I love that thing.
Yeah, Super Ocean 42 is a great watch. You answered this last time.
How do you remember this?
Trey Keith, because I remember this question. What OEM has the best quality paint and what OEM has the worst quality paint?
That is a question that I've answered before.
Yeah.
I would say...
Because you surprised, and you said you surprised me by saying Subaru's paint was great.
Subaru paint is insane on particular models.
Yeah.
For some reason, like Victoria's Outback, it's just spectacular. I don't get it, but you know the more generic answer is I think.
Are they built in different factories? Like, is the Outback built in one place and the Impreza built somewhere else? That
Maybe,
might be
because
why.
if you go with like a WRX, it's the complete opposite. It's just like a nightmare paint. But the best I've ever worked on, would you consider it OEM Koenigsegg?
I mean, yeah, but kind of no.
Right.
I mean, they make 50 cars a year.
Yeah, I would say Koenigsegg by a mile and a half was like, holy jeez.
Yeah, okay. Well, so if the car's $3 million, it's probably got good paint.
Yeah, so that's why I was hesitant to bring that up, but yeah.
And what has the worst?
I'm going to be punched for this. I think Ferrari is really bad.
Yeah?
Yeah, their paint's pretty awful.
Okay.
I just got flamed right now, I'm sure. But
Yeah, it is what it is. And on my, I mean, I've in my experience, McLaren paint is not very good.
Yeah, McLaren is
Tesla
not good.
paint is terrible.
Oh, sorry. You know what? I take it back. Tesla by a mile.
Yeah, their paint is garbage.
Yeah, Ferrari is just more of a pain for me, but Tesla
You
is
see that Tesla's going to be offering wraps?
No.
And there's 2 Tesla service centers that are offering wraps.
Because the paint is so bad, or is that like
I mean, they're doing it. They're not admitting the paint is bad. They're doing it to expand the range of color choices because you can only get like 4 colors.
Right.
But
no,
it's just as well because their paint is garbage.
I go out of my way, unfortunately, to not take because it's not a win. That's shooting a free throw from the half. I'm not going to win on this one. Why would I want to take this?
I mean, I know there's the shop that does our PPF for 405. They crank out Teslas.
One of my biggest guys on the ATA 300 thing.
Yeah.
We talked to him.
Yeah.
He built his little shop outside the factory in California, Joe Tarbati, and that is exclusively the car comes out of the factory and goes right through him, and somehow he has a hookup when they buy it.
Yeah,
I guess
it goes straight to him.
Like they figure it out.
Yeah.
It literally I mean, the guy's doing hundreds of them a month.
Yeah. And also Trey says, do detailing products go bad over time? If I've got some spray wax that's over 5 years old, should I still use it or will it go bad?
5 years old, I think you should probably, I mean, we're talking, $20 or something. You should probably get something that's fresh. A lot of times dyes and things that are in there to make it purple and green or whatever go bad. 5 years is a little long. I would say from the factory perspective, it's usually about 12 to 18 months where it'll be factory, like we'll warranty it or whatever. 5 years is pushing the envelope.
That's a long time.
For spray wax, I thought he was going to say something like a coating, which costs more.
Yeah.
But usually at some point the air is going to get in, but it's really just about air getting in. So
2 more. This one is actually very interesting. Larry, are they making color change wraps that offer the protection of PPF? I keep hearing wraps don't offer as much protection. Why not? And then in that case, does ceramic coating help a wrap? There's a lot in there, but I just saw a new company, and I can't remember the name of it, of course, is coming out with a extra thick color change wrap that has not all, but most of the protective properties of PPF in a color change.
I would need to see that, but barring that, what I would say is wrap is incredibly thin, where clear bra is anywhere from 8 to 12 mil. A wrap, I'm spitballing here, is 2 or 3 or 4. So it's very, very thin and a little bit more brittle. The interesting thing about wrap is you apply it wet. There's water, there's lubrication, there's soap, and Wrap, for the most part, is put on dry with powder.
You said PPF is applied wet.
PPF is applied wet.
Yeah, you said wrap.
Sorry, PPF is applied wet. My apologies. Wrap is put on with powder and is a different kind of application. So I think the challenge would be to make that thicker as an all-in-one thing. You'd have to somehow get around the fact that you're combining something that requires water and the other one doesn't require water. So if they can do that,
we've had folks, customers at our shop, who go, they want PPF, and then they get the bill. No, they find out how much it's going to cost, and they're shocked by how much it will cost. And they go, well, what if I just get a wrap? And then it's, well, you can do that, but you're not actually getting the protection.
Yeah, but a wrap is more expensive.
No, not always.
When we do it here, it's more expensive. The reason why is you have a white car, I'm making this up, and you want to make it black. We're just using white and black, right? You want to make it black. We can wrap the whole thing, which takes a lot longer, a lot more cuts and whatever. But what are you going to do with the door jams?
No.
So like to do the door jams, I don't have to do that with clear when I'm doing clear with PPF.
For some reason, the quotes we got, it was cheaper. Now maybe it was because they weren't doing door jams, and maybe it was, I don't know. I didn't look into the specifics, but our vendor came back and said the wrap is a little cheaper than the PPF. And it might have been, I don't know why. I don't know why.
I would love to know why. I mean, we would do
it might have been because there was, in this particular car, there was a glass engine cover, there was headlights, and they were doing all that stuff. And so maybe it was less physical surfaces. Maybe. And apparently this particular car was a Maserati MC20. There's a lot of curves. I don't know. I don't know why, but but it was slightly cheaper. Make of that what you will. Slightly cheaper, but he said you're not going to get the protection.
You're not.
Yeah. Because wraps are designed to change the color, not to protect
I do need to find out that. I have like 50 questions for you afterwards. I got to find out the name of that.
I just saw it like on Instagram. Like I literally don't even. I'll find out.
Shoot me an email if you know what that.
Someone was just advertising on Instagram that it's a new kind of color change wrap that's like thicker and has PPF-like properties.
Got it.
I don't know. Literally something I just saw. Like, don't fucking. It's not an endorsement. I don't know anything about it besides a 2x2 square and a fucking Instagram caption.
Got it.
Last question. Zach says, I recently bought a camper. I want to do some kind of coating on it, and it's all fiberglass. Is there a product you recommend? Searching online doesn't bring a lot of results.
Yeah, if it's fiberglass, I would consider it to be boat-esque, sort of, right? That kind of thing. So yeah, you can use the same coating. The difference with those types of things is usually they're a little bit more porous, a little bit more kind of a pain in the butt, and so you have a more porous, and it's a battleship. I'm being facetious, but compared to a Mini, right?
Yeah.
It's ginormous. So you're going through a lot more product because it is absorbing, and it's a lot more. So that, yes, you can absolutely protect it. I don't think it's gonna have the same sheen.
Right.
So most of the time I tell people, I know you're not gonna wanna hear this, but I would polish it and get that as flat as possible, as shiny as possible, then put the coating on, because one, it's not gonna absorb as much because you've already taken a bunch of the old dead skin off, basically. And then it's just, that is a very expensive, very laborious labor of love to do that.
Sorry, there was one more. Scooter says, my truck had a lot of body work and I replaced body panels due to hail damage. How long should I wait for the paint to cure before applying Reflex? And is there any special prep I need to do besides decontamination wash?
That's a good question, and there's a lot of confusion around that. What the analogy I made before with the 964.
Yeah.
That
It's already been painted, so that's
it's already been painted. So the point I'm trying to make is the best thing that I would do in that situation was I'd call the body shop and be like, hey, how did you do this? And just give me the straight truth, because now we're in like surgery mode. So like, yeah, dude, we painted it real quick. We didn't bake it afterwards. We got 50 other cars to do. I don't know. Because if they bake it afterwards, you can do it in a couple of days. If they don't, then 90 days.
What's the worst case?
The worst case scenario is 90 days.
90 days.
Is what you would do. And then to prep it, you're going to use 50-50 isopropyl alcohol with water, spray it down, or spray it on the towel. Actually, I take it back. Spray it on the towel. Don't do it on there on fresh paint, because it could shock the paint. Make sure the paint is cool, room temperature, not hot, because if you spray iso, it'll shock it, and then the pores will get all messed up. Wipe it down, and then proceed with reflex per usual.
And then also, can he use gelée on matte black rims, or will it make the wheels shiny?
It will make the wheels deeper and richer. The irony is I'm about to do that 5 seconds after you leave right now.
Well, those aren't matte. Those are painted.
On the wrap. On the wrap, I'll be putting reflex, which is basically similar to what he's saying.
Yeah.
But I'll be doing, so yes, you can do that. Test it first, and then see if you like the deeper sheen. Versus, I don't think it's not going to be shiny. It's not going to take the matte away. It just makes it deeper and richer. And quite frankly, I think it looks better, and now you're protecting it. So if you're like hardcore matte, then don't do it. But I think that's crazy.
Okay, that's all we got.
Make a sense?
That's the show. Larry Kosilla, AMMONYC.com. When is that? When is the Academy thing?
It's going to be, I mean, dude, for real, like 2 years. It's been a nightmare for me. It's going to be November 1st. I'm trying to launch it when we go to SEMA.
And what's the name of the thing? Kosilla?
Kajabi.
What the fuck is that?
That's like a platform. It's like a website that all these videos will be on, as opposed to YouTube, because YouTube, we could talk for YouTube for hours about why it's crazy.
YouTube's a fucking disaster.
It's a disaster.
I'm not gonna make it very long over there.
Most people are dropping off like crazy, and they're like, how come you're not shooting more videos? I'm like, you don't even, and you know,
I know why.
Yeah, people don't realize.
You can do math.
Right.
Anyone who can do math is not going to last on YouTube very long.
And then now I have an editor, as you know, the same guy that you use. Let's not mention his name or whatever. But because I can't I can't spend that much time. I'd rather go detail a car. Sure. But the editing costs are like $1,500, $1,800 for a 30-minute or 20-minute video.
There's no way to literally can't make that back. It's not possible.
YouTube has now become a loss leader, which I cannot stand that word from a business perspective. As before,
but
it was its own thing.
At least you've got something to sell.
Correct.
I got nothing to sell.
So you look at YouTube as a whole. I'm like, how are they going to sustain the like I make YouTube revenue kind of people who are doing vloggy things? And like, how do you make money on that?
Well, first off, a lot of them don't.
Are you still selling ads though, right?
Yes.
I now have to sell ads, which kills me and breaks my heart. But like, do you want the video?
That's the difference. The difference between me making something and losing money, is, hey guys, check out this coffee cup.
But doesn't it kill you in like your soul? It kills me. I'm like, I'm the ones that we pick.
But there's a movie.
You're just like blank.
Well, yeah, there's a movie called Doc Hollywood from the 80s, remember?
Are you kidding me? I love that movie.
Yeah, okay.
And then they go out in the woods and they're peeing in the woods.
Yeah, so do you remember when the girl says to Michael J. Fox, I feel really stupid doing this, and he says, most people feel stupid most of the time. The difference is you're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
That's how I go about my life. I feel very stupid doing this, but I need to do it because I'm getting paid.
I hope people appreciate, because I feel like people get very angry when I put an ad in. I'm like, I cannot shoot this anymore.
They're not paying your fucking mortgage. The problem with YouTube, for me, as someone who has nothing else to sell, the view is it, right? That's it. Is that the audience, the actual monetary value that the audience puts on that video is zero. That video is worth nothing to them. They're not willing to pay for it.
Oh, I understand.
They're not willing to sit through an ad. They'll find ways to skip ads because they don't think they should have to see it. You know what I mean?
I'm with you now.
And so the amount, the value that they put on it is zero, whereas the value that it costs us to make it is actually something.
Significantly something.
Yeah, and okay, yeah, I'm driving a cool car in the video. Is that worth something? Yeah, the experience, I suppose, of driving a cool car is worth something, but it certainly doesn't pay my fucking mortgage. And so, you know, the data from Kevin said that the audience wants a more crafted story. So Zach and I started making more scripted videos that have sort of dramatic beats and moments of like, but there was a problem, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so the watch time was up, the engagement was up, all these things went up by about 60%, which most people go, oh my God, that's great, 60% improvement. But it cost us 5 times as much money to make the video.
As opposed to a one take?
Yes. As opposed to a one take, which is done locally and takes just a couple hours to write a script, shoot that script, edit the video that's now scripted, get all those angles. It took 5 times longer to make. So even though we increased our metrics by 60%, in order to make that worthwhile, we would have to increase our metrics by 500%. It's not worth it. We went back to one takes. We did it for 8 months, unsustainable. Totally unsustainable.
And does the Patreon help?
Patreon doesn't do anything for YouTube videos. It's podcast only.
Podcast only.
Yeah.
So if you take what you just said and then add on the fact that now people have seen the success on YouTube and all that stuff, and so they'll call me and say, hey, I have a car for you. And I'm like, okay, cool. Here's the schedule. Here's the pricing.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. You're going to do this for your video. And I'm like,
oh, yeah, no.
So it becomes very, very, becomes very, very awkward where I'm like, well, do you realize I got to spend 3 days of like actual technical specialist skills on your car, and I'm going to like, we got to
what you should be telling those people, in my opinion, when they're calling you, is that everyone who appears on my video is paying for a detail.
I'm doing that now, saying like, whether I say it this way, whether I shoot a video or not is irrelevant to me doing the work. If I have the time to shoot it, because if people watch the videos, one out of every 10, probably more than that, 1 out of every 15, 20 cars I do is video worthy because there's a story and a script and whatever. I'm not even telling you, this one here behind you, MA competition.
It's just a regular ass car.
It's a regular job. I have 15 more to do. Like I'm running a...
Dude, and I've recently started turning down press launches because it's not worth my travel time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worse
I'm not
for
running
you. That.
It's definitely worse.
I mean, it's
for
worse
you.
because I have nothing to sell.
Right. So for me, like, I want to be very clear. I think I don't think YouTube has changed my life forever, and I think it's been amazing.
Well, mine too, but that doesn't mean that's yesterday, not today.
Right. I just have a soft spot. So like, the guilt that I feel, blah, 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 you know, the whole thing of Catholic guilt or whatever you want to call it. I've done so good for me that I want to continue doing it. So I don't want to cry poor is what I'm saying.
No, but YouTube, one of the things that they do is they need to get new creators creating. So if you just start making videos, they want you to have that adrenaline hit of people seeing your videos.
Right.
75 to 80% of our traffic on any given video comes from the YouTube recommendation algorithm.
Right, ours too.
Whereas a very small percentage comes from our subscribers, like 10 or less.
That's why I thought subscribers now is
doesn't mean
useless.
Anything. Subscribers means absolutely nothing.
Right, it's more like a badge like 5 years ago.
Yeah, hang the plaque on your wall, which yours is over there, mine's in studio. It doesn't mean shit, nothing. Something for you to brag about at fucking dinner.
I have 2.2 million, so it's like
nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Doesn't matter. And so, because of that, because effectively all traffic comes from YouTube recommendations, YouTube is able to favor new creators that they want to get sucked into the system, motivate them with growth, motivate them with views, motivate them with subscribers and money. People like you and I are entrenched in the system. We've now come to depend on it for our living, right? Or at least part of it.
Right, no, definitely.
They know how little they can pay us to get us to quit.
How do you know this? Is this Kevin
This is
thing?
how it works. No, this is just how
because
YouTube
you're
works.
answering so many questions. Because I had somebody else who like started like 6 months ago.
Dude, my wife worked in social media for 5 years. They know how little they can pay you before you quit, and they pay you $1 more than that. They know that you can't quit entirely because they have statistics on people that have gotten to a certain point and then quit. So they know where that is, where that line is, where it becomes not worth it. So they pay you and I slightly more than the amount of money where you go, ugh, this isn't worth it at all, fuck it. That's their business model. Favor the new creators to get them into the system and dangle the old creators along because they know that we need them and we're willing, it's just a little less, it's a little less, but it's still just barely worth our time to do it.
I'm 5x, almost 6x less than what I was like 6 months ago.
Dude,
So what's the
my
answer?
channel peaked in like 2018 and has been, I've gained less than 100,000 subscribers since 2018.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm putting out a video a week the whole time.
And the videos haven't changed. I mean, they're great videos. The whole
same
thing.
shit.
Yeah,
And the views are all down too. But the views are down. Subscribers are totally flatlined.
Right.
Yeah.
COVID was the peak for me, and it's been going down ever since.
They know.
So what's the answer? Is it just shut up and do it kind of thing?
No, I mean maybe. The other answer is to chase the algorithm. I mean, the algorithm rewards
we talked about before. I can't do that.
Right. So there's that too, right? Because there's people that are very successful today, and some people go, "Well, you're just not doing it right." Well, you and I, we have our pride.
Right.
So I'm not going to do clickbaity headlines. I'm not going to shit on stuff.
I started losing my mind just by doing.
I can't
stand that, but I tried. Kevin was telling me to do it.
Got to do it.
And I'm like, you got to do
They want to see the face. Yeah. There's stuff that you can do that helps, but I don't have the answer. All I know is that there's a bunch of things I could do that I'm too proud to do.
Right. I agree. There's a line that you just.
There's a line I won't do.
Cross.
Fortunately, I have the podcast. Podcast does well. Podcast is not algorithmic. If you subscribe to the podcast, it shows up in your inbox, whether you listen to that episode or not. So that's good.
And YouTube did the other thing. They took the subscribers off so nobody finds out about it. And it just goes in the pipeline.
if you subscribe on YouTube, it doesn't mean anything. So if you subscribe to me and you watch 10 of my videos in a row, you will continue to be fed my videos. If you subscribe to me and then you don't watch 4 or 5 videos I put out in a row, YouTube will go, well, he's not actually interested in that, and stop sending you my videos. So you won't even know anymore.
Thus making subscribers
useless. And so every platform, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, wants to keep you in the machine.
Sure, chaos machine. Did you read that book?
Yes. Yeah. So it's also the reason that social media is now not a good way to drive YouTube traffic. Posting on Instagram that you have a new video out yields very, very few actual views.
Why?
Because the Instagram and the social media platforms don't want you using their platform to send people to another platform. So when I use words like link in bio, go check out our video, they have teams of people that are designed to deprioritize those posts versus regular posts. I've had experiments on this where I'll share a new video and I'll use, say, link in bio, and it gets 1/10 of the engagement that I'll take that post down, do the exact same post, and avoid referencing that this video exists somewhere else, and it's back to normal. 1/10 of the comments, 1/10 of the likes, 1/10 of the engagement. Because they look for certain words and phrases, and what they see that what you're trying to do is use Instagram to send people to YouTube. Not here. I want people staying on Instagram. So, and that's the same reason the clips don't work. I get bombarded with people, I'm sure you do, every day. You're not using short form content. You're not doing short form content. Hire me to cut your short form content. Right. Guess what? It doesn't fucking work, ever.
On Instagram?
Dude, you got a smash hit on Instagram. Fucking 10 million views on Instagram. No meaningful traffic change on YouTube. Because people, even if you have massive engagement, tons of comments, tons of engagement on that Instagram clip, it does not translate to people going over and finding the source material and listening to that. So I keep telling these fucking people, there's a whole industry of people, I want to cut your short form content. Bro, you ain't worth it. Nobody's worth it. Spending money on short form content is purely burned money. It does not return views and traffic on my sellable properties.
And so what's your game plan? We talk about
I don't
this
have
usually
one. My game plan is parking fucking cars, dude. That's my game plan. parking cars.
And podcast.
And podcast. And writing for Road and Track, which are things I enjoy and that pay. Selling print magazines.
Yeah, you remember Eileen? Eileen said at some point the YouTube thing is going to be no more. Hence the reason why I was trying to do this other thing, the pilot, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to find other avenues.
And I'm not complaining. I'm talking right now about this. I have a great life.
Either.
No, I have a good life. I have a good job. I wouldn't rather do anything else. But just when these self-publishing platforms that in the beginning set us free,
right,
and allowed us to now own us in a certain way, and we are in some ways a slave to them,
right?
And as each platform has prioritized watch time and engagement on itself, the social media platforms have become drastically less useful for promoting content in other places. And if you have to create content for those individual platforms, and you could have clips and stuff that are wildly successful on TikTok or Instagram, but you need to understand that those clips will not drive your traffic in the other place. It doesn't work. Because those software platforms want you there. Right. They want you staying there, and they will tweak and fucking pull levers and turn knobs and block shit and promote shit and deprioritize shit.
And the stuff that gets promoted is the ones that we were talking about before that are usually like the negative.
Talking about money or shitting
negativity
on stuff. Huge engagement, huge. But there's clips where I've talked about money in the podcast. We turn it into a clip. And it gets massive engagement on Instagram, doesn't do anything on the actual podcast. The numbers don't move. And people won't even reference in the comments, they'll then fight about what I said, but nobody in the comments is like, hey, I actually watched the whole podcast and here's the context of that. Nobody.
Not to get into a deeper conversation, but is this like the end of society?
Possibly. If they find a way to monetize clips effectively, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then okay,
because what they told me is do more clips, do more shorts, and that's going to drive traffic.
It doesn't,
and you'll be fine.
It doesn't. They're lying.
You want me to pay more money to create these clips?
They're lying to you. It doesn't. It doesn't. They want you to pay them or pay somebody to create clips. But it doesn't. It doesn't work. We did it. It doesn't work.
And I think at the very minimum, everybody listening or watching this can at least be like, if you were in the same situation, because I want to be very clear, I'm not crying poor, that kind of thing. You'd have the same frustration to go from here, and then with no notice, no nothing, I didn't mess up.
Right. They move the goalposts. Yeah, they move the goalposts.
Right.
And there is all we want, right? You and I both spend a lot of time and money creating this content.
Yeah, thinking about it, filming it.
You more than me, because you have to physically fucking detail it.
That's what I was talking to Doug the other day about it, and I was like, Doug, you do a thing, and he's like, it takes me an hour to shoot a film. I almost choked him on camera. I'm like, what's the matter with you? An hour? It takes me 4 days.
Doug is very hateable like that. And it doesn't take me that long to make a video either, but I have to drive all the way out to the mountains and whatever. Okay. And more so when I was doing edited, produced pieces, doing the little one-takey bullshits, like
the big stuff with Zach and Thad and all the other things. Yeah.
But what you and I are seeking is, how do we get people to watch our shit?
Right.
You can't use social media for it anymore because they don't want you doing that. You can't. Do
you pay for it? Can you pay for? Can you pay for YouTube?
You can, but they're not real. So if your goal is YouTube revenue, then spending money, you're not going to get it. Paying for views makes sense if Dodge approached you and said, I want you to do 10 videos, and you go, okay, I'll do it for $200,000 and I'm going to guarantee you this many views.
But that is an option on YouTube?
You can buy views.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's bullshit. They're not real views. But if you then went back...
or do they promote it? Like,
they're
like
fake.
A button you can push?
They're fake.
No, I'm saying, but does YouTube say, push this button, give us this money, and we'll get you views?
There is a way.
Or is it like
there is a way.
Market?
There's both. There's a way to. Yeah, there's a way. But it's not, if the goals are the views themselves, it's not worth it.
Right.
It's not. It's never worth it. And so, we just are trying to figure out, how do you get people to watch our content? The subscribers aren't being fed it. Social media is not working. all that is left is YouTube's recommendation engine. And unless you do crazy clickbait titles and crazy ideas, like, you know, it's just not happening. Me doing consumer grade education car reviews is not gonna do it, you know?
Hence the reason why I did this thing, the Kajabi thing or whatever. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And the irony is when I did the ATA 200, I got the #1 loss of subscribers, the #1 loss of revenue, the #1 loss or the least amount of views I've ever received. The people who did watch it thought it was great, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I can't do that again. I'll lose the little bit that I have now on YouTube. I'll lose all of it. And I said, okay, I have to put it on another platform. Yes, I'm sorry. It's going to have to be a fee based. I am almost 40-something thousand into this in terms of editors and time, and I had to pay people to be on the show. Lawyers are like, I'll happily, or bookkeepers, I'll happily chat with you, but like, click, the time is running. I'm like, oh crap, I'll ask him 1,000 questions. So yeah, it's been an I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
But this is what this is now, and very soon, you know, if I showed people what our actual revenue was from a video.
It's like embarrassing at this point.
It is. It's like embarrassing. Like, I earn a living because I have a brick and mortar business with 2 locations. I have a successful podcast. I have a Patreon, and I have YouTube, and I sell ads on that YouTube, and because I don't have fucking kids, because I have a dual income household with no kids. That's why I have nice toys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, my dad's rich too, but like, I don't get money from him. I'm fucking an adult. I'm 41 years old.
I get it.
But like, that's, you know what I mean? You put it all together and like, yeah, okay, it adds up to a nice living, but just like the YouTube thing, and like, it's not gonna last. If it continues at this trend, it's not going to last.
You mean YouTube itself?
Oh, and by the way, I write, my career on YouTube.
Got it.
And by the way, I write for a fucking magazine full time also. So I forgot I had another job.
Do you do the podcast on YouTube?
We do audio and video, yes. Yeah.
Oh, hence, never mind.
Yes, hence that camera.
Yeah.
So, you know, you add it all together and you can piecemeal a career out of it. You know, I mean, you fortunately are able to use YouTube as a marketing tool. So it's not all about the views.
I agree. So I'm in it. It's just the rug burn is not burn. I'm actually losing some skin now.
It's fucked up, and it's unfortunately the reason it's fucked up is someone or a team of someone's choice. So it's how they, as a platform, can make more money, not how can they enable you to reach your audience or me to reach my audience better.
I personally believe at some point, like everything else, like a econ major, I think the lines are going to cross, and they're going to not have enough creators, because I think the next generation may not, be dealing with that. Like our generation was like huge. I couldn't believe when YouTube hit, everything was like massive. But I think at some point soon, like Jordan and younger guys, they're not doing that.
Young people are doing TikTok.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they're making money, because TikTok's not really paying. I mean, maybe it's just sponsored posts, and okay, fine. And frankly, I'm too fucking old to use TikTok. I don't give a shit.
I don't have it on my phone.
Yeah, I don't want it. I don't have it.
As soon as the government said that, like, you can't, like, there was like a weird thing.
I just don't need another fucking thing. I don't even. We're being watched by everybody all the time anyway. But like, fine. But like, I don't need to get sucked into another fucking thing.
If you won the lottery, I'll end on this. If you won the lottery tomorrow and you're worth $10 billion, like you don't need anything, would you cancel all of your social media?
Someone asked me that recently, actually, on another show, and my first instinct was, I'm out. I'm on an island somewhere.
Right.
You're never going to see me again. And then they were like, really? And they pressed me on it, and I think, no, I wouldn't, because they're like, even if you were stupid rich, you'd need to do something. I can't just sit on an island. That sounds like fun for 5 minutes, and then I would go nuts.
Right.
But I would stop making videos instantly. I would keep doing the podcast because I love it, but I would do fewer episodes. I would do 1 a week, not 2 a week. And I would keep writing because I like it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I do like it, but I'd write from a fucking yacht.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Me, I would keep shooting videos, but with no pressure, and I would shoot 1 video a month and make it like ridiculously over the top because I enjoy doing these things, but not like this.
I mean, Harry Metcalf is a great model. if you know Harry from over in England, and he shoots videos on his schedule for what he
What's
feels
the name
like.
of his channel?
Harry's Garage.
Oh, Jordan's in town.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy.
Yeah.
I've met him a couple times, and he's great. And he shoots videos as if he doesn't need to shoot videos, because he doesn't. He doesn't care about the money from the video. He does other things, and so that's a great thing. You know, I still need to do it for fucking
So
money.
the ultimate question is, when you're done with this, you want to go hit the lottery, see if we can go to the bodega?
Powerball, baby. Fuck, let's do it. Yeah, that's our show.
Awesome.
Thank you for everyone for listening. Thanks to Larry for his time today. I'm off on the HQ 400 with my dad in a BMW M8, and I'm not in a Cadillac Blackwing. So that'll be that. And go check out my newest car review video, which is not actually a full car. Zach and I posted a video today of the updated Polaris Slingshot, which
I saw Zach was doing something on the 911T or ST or something.
Yeah,
like
he went to Italy to do that.
I thought it was fantastic, and
Yeah,
I texted him, I was like,
job.
"Hey, you did a great job." And of course, Zach being like, "Dude, it wasn't funny enough." Or I was like,
Yeah.
Just take a compliment.
No, he did a great job on that video.
Fantastic.
And that video did perform well.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. But considering Zach had to fly 30 hours each way to do it, like, no, it wasn't worth it. Like, it actually wasn't worth it.
I wonder if the manufacturers are picking up on it, where like, you guys are going to be like, you know what, we're not going to go there. Sorry.
Well, look, I mean, they know that we still love cars.
Right.
And if you dangle, you dangle the newest supercar carrot in an exotic location, you know, at a certain point, it becomes a bit of an adventure. You know, I joked on the podcast that like, like that Zach went and not me because I was booked to drive the new Z at Sonoma. And people were like, well, you know, he's driving this and you're driving this. Meanwhile, like, I had an hour flight to San Francisco, you know, and he was all the way over there. And I actually don't wish I was doing it. I really want to drive the ST, but there will be one here eventually that I'll drive. Like, that's the other problem is with car reviews, the first to the internet wins. So you have to go on those launches.
Yeah.
Getting a car on the launch day versus getting a car 6 months later.
Story's old.
It's old. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
So I went to Europe 3 times in the month of July, separate from LA. 3 times in 1 month. DB12, Porsche Spider RS, and Goodwood Festival of Speed, and Lotus Emira 4-cylinder. That's 3 times to Europe in 1 month from Los Angeles. It's a 15-hour flight each way.
And then what the ballpark? What did those videos get? Not money-wise, views-wise. Like multiple millions of views?
No, not one. Not a. No, I don't even think one cracked 200K. Let's look.
So 200K. I mean,
dude, no money. Like,
I'm doing basic math right now in my head.
A total waste of time and money. But
probably like $1,400 a video.
Oh look,
1,500 bucks.
Oh god damn it! It wants me to. It wants me to verify. Okay, there we go. Let's see. So the Emira, 95,000 views. Porsche Spider RS, 214,000 views. What was it? Oh, DB12.
So now we're at like, let's call it 300 plus.
DB12, 122,000 views.
300 plus 400. So let's say just shy of 430, 440.
Yeah. So let's work with the best one. Here's the best. We'll look at the best one was Spider RS. Okay, we'll do a little BTS here. Spider RS, monetization, analytics.
What number was it? That's the one that's 220?
214,000 views.
214,000.
So that video, which I had to fly to Germany, and it was 4 days of my time, right? Oh, I drove the 959 while I was there and made a video of that too. So I made 2 videos on that trip. Spider RS, 214,000 views, $1,668.
Dude, I told you $1,400 bucks. That was $1,500.
$1,668, and I sold an ad, a "Hey guys, look at this thing" ad.
Yeah.
So that was $3,000. So you're talking about $4,600 for something that I spent 4.5 days doing and going to Europe, which means I can't do anything else.
Nobody ever factors in the opportunity cost of time.
Yeah.
Like I
then I did the 959 video while I was over there. That was 100,000 views. and that was a G,
and that's
$1,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say 800 to 1,000.
I mean, and like, yeah, if you're making $20 an hour, that probably seems like a lot, but that's it. I've been doing this for 20 years.
I'm aware.
This isn't like, you know, the value of experience and that kind of stuff is not.
And we can get really nuts. Your CPMs are probably double mine.
Yeah.
So whatever I get like that, if you want to do the math, I get half that. Because who's buying ads against car detailing videos? Other
companies.
Well, yeah, maybe that, but they don't spend a lot. So like BMW will, if you're doing the Porsche or whatever, BMW will buy the ad against that to you know, whatever. So we can go for
the clip of me talking about revenue share would be great for.
Exactly.
Yeah. You won't believe how little money I made.
Do you get those videos where people post stuff about you and they'll be like, Matt, because somebody random out there like, what's he worth or something like that?
Yeah, I got one of those once and it was very wrong.
Yeah, they did one about me. It was like wildly off, and I'm like, they had like a weird computer voice going, like,
yeah, I don't know. I got one of those once.
I tried to like have it flagged or whatever. I was like, dude, this is not a good look.
But anyway, little BTS there at the end of our program. That's our show. I will see you guys next time with Larry. And you know, you get his things where you get his things.
Thanks for the plug.
AMMONYC.com and YouTube AMMO NYC, and pay him for his details. He's not fucking doing this shit. Bye.
Bye.